Chapter 942. Demonis. Every word makes sense. In the shabby pavilion of the Spirit Herbal Garden, Duan Muyen was in a daze. She looked at Jiang Hao. "How did you do it, junior brother Jiang?" Jiang Hao lowered his head and didn't answer. "Sorry. I'm in a hurry, so I'll check the rest." Duan Muyen did not ask him any more questions. She just checked the spirit herbs. At first, she didn't believe it. She thought some of the seeds would be definitely damaged. It wasn't until she was done with the checkup that she realized that she had underestimated him. The herbs weren't just undamaged, but they were also of superior quality compared to the ones she had spent so much effort to grow. It had taken half the time than the ones she had grown. It meant that the person who had planted them was amazing at his work. This person knew much more about spirit herbs than anyone in the sect. It was far beyond her understanding. "Do you know how to refine pills too, junior brother Jiang?" Duan Muyen asked. "I don't know anything." Jiang Hao shook his head. "If there's a chance we can try to do it. Who knows? You might be talented in that field too," said Duan Muyen. Jiang Hao shook his head. Refining pills sounded like it would take too much time and spirit stones. He was good at making talismans. They were just a bit difficult to sell, especially the 1,000 miles teleportation talisman. His talismans had improved significantly. It was just that he had been making fewer talismans lately. However, there were quite a few clone talismans. After that, they began to talk about business. "Junior brother, your ability is far beyond what I could have anticipated. I hope you don't mind that I doubted you before." "You're too polite, senior sister." "Of course I don't mind." Jiang Hao shook his head. "I'm just not good at raising every spirit herb." "Junior brother Jiang, are you free now? I have 700 seeds here. You can try planting them." Duan Muyen could feel that this person had a special talent for planting spirit herbs. He would definitely be even more powerful in the future. Since he had dared to plant 200 seeds at once, he must be confident in his abilities. 700? Jiang Hao asked. How many bubbles would that spawn? 230. It was enough for him to advance. "I can give you 3 times the spirit stones than it might normally take," Duan Muyen said. 3 times more? Jiang Hao thought for a moment. It was a good deal. It was not good to ask for too much. Many things had to go through the sect for approval. If his method was discovered, they might want to know. She sent over the seeds after a few more days. The seeds were from 7 different spirit herbs. He spent 7 days appraising them all. 3 of them could sprout in half a year, and 4 others would only take 4 months. The cost of growing them was not small. It would cost him about 50,000 spirit stones. He hoped she would give him more than that. He still had 400,000 spirit stones. Even if he added the seeds senior sister Yi gave, he would only use up around 80,000 spirit stones. He would still have 320,000 spirit stones. There was no way he could spend it all. What he lacked was top-grade spirit herbs. Unfortunately, these people didn't have any. However, one thing was certain. If there were no accidents, he would be able to advance to the late stage of the Immortal Ascension platform by the end of the year. After that, he started planting the spirit herbs. It was July. The earliest batch could sprout by November. However, there was no rush to inform the seniors. He could tell them a month or 2 later. The next day, Jiang Hao looked at the peach tree that was beginning to bear fruit and appraised it. Immortality peach tree. It is related to the ancient divine tree, the immortality peach tree. It has a trace of the divine tree's characteristics, and the fruit is sweet and fragrant. If you leave a fruit on the tree and use 53,900 spirit stones to set up a spirit gathering array around it, you could activate a trace of the divine tree's characteristics and activate an incarnation. After 2 incarnations, it will become a complete divine tree. It's easier for the incarnation to succeed if it is placed near another divine item. 8 incarnations. It was almost over. The difference in spirit stones this time was not much. He would only need around 53,000. Looks like it will be the same as before. I wonder how many spirit stones will be needed for the last incarnation. There was nothing special about the first 8 times, and the fruits hadn't changed much. There wasn't even any spiritual energy left. Maybe the last incarnation would be impactful. It was definitely not ordinary. After the last incarnation, it might also be very difficult to replant it. It would take an extremely long time. It might not even give him bubbles after it turned into a divine tree. After deducting 50,000, he'll still have 270,000 left. The people he met were getting stronger and stronger, so he needed more spirit stones to get stronger too. He had changed. He wasn't like he used to be in the past. He didn't spend all his spirit stones on just one thing. The changes brought about by cultivation were best reflected in spirit stones. "When will my peach tree transform into a divine tree?" said a sudden voice from behind. Jiang Hao was used to her appearing out of thin air. "Greetings, senior." He turned around and greeted her respectfully. It was Hong Yuya. She was dressed entirely in red. "It needs to go through incarnation twice more," said Jiang Hao. "How many times has it been?" Hong Yuya asked as she sat by the table. 7 times. Jiang Hao began to brew tea. He stole a glance at the spirit beast and realized that it had been hung up from a tree branch. It was unconscious and its face was swollen. 7 incarnations without any changes? Hong Yuya asked softly. "It has gotten sweeter," Jiang Hao said in a low voice. He was also very curious. He wondered why there wasn't a change even after so many incarnations. There was nothing else except for the fragrance. It was like an ordinary peach tree. "Why is that happening?" Hong Yuya asked. "Maybe for a better incarnation," Jiang Hao said. "If there's spiritual energy, then the ripening will definitely be delayed. It won't be able to mature once a year like now. Even though there hasn't been much change, the incarnation that comes with it is always deliberate." Hong Yuya looked at Jiang Hao in silence. She looked at him for so long that he even finished brewing the tea. "Not a single word of truth from you, but it's reasonable." Jiang Hao lowered his head and didn't say anything. "What did you find?" Hong Yuya asked. Jiang Hao told her about the gathering. "Dragon Cave?" Hong Yuya asked with interest. "It'll take 2 or 3 years?" "Yes." Jiang Hao nodded. "Do you still remember what I told you?" Hong Yuya picked up the teacup. "I do remember. I need to investigate the origin of the dragon pearl." Jiang Hao nodded. "You remember things very clearly when it has to do with Shaoli," Hong Yuya said. "Of course, senior. I take your instructions very seriously," said Jiang Hao. Hong Yuya chuckled and drank her tea. Jiang Hao poured himself a cup of tea. She didn't mention anything about the Shangguan clan or the fallen immortal clan. She didn't seem interested. He still had to pay attention to the traps set by the great Thousand God sect. He looked at her. She looked disdainful. He didn't speak anymore. "There's a fight at the mines?" Hong Yuya asked. "At present, it seems that it's in a stalemate and will remain that way for decades," said Jiang Hao. "If Gu Changxing comes out, will there be a big fight?" Hong Yuya thought about it. "Why do you think he went in?" "Because of the curse that brought disaster to the earth." Jiang Hao thought. Gu Changxing had voluntarily gone in. Why did he intend to make a comeback? If you find any errors, ads pop-up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 943. You want to be a top disciple. Jiang Hao didn't know whether Gu Changxing was real or not. However, based on speculations, it was most likely not the real Gu Changxing. He was a combination of the 100 Nights curse and the longevity curse. Such an existence was fatal to the world. It was a cursed tree, after all. It was self-evident what kind of impact it would have on the earth if it took root. No one had survived to compare it to Heavenly Fate Misfortune Pearl to see which one was more dangerous. Ordinary curses were afraid of the Heavenly Fate Misfortune Pearl, but the Longevity Curse Tree was not just a tree. It was also a person. Everyone was justifiably terrified of such a power. However, he was already handling the Heavenly Fate Misfortune Pearl, so he didn't care much. He couldn't use curses against a person who possessed the Heavenly Fate Misfortune Pearl, but there were countless other ways to kill. Gu Chongxing was too dangerous. If he didn't have any connection to Gu Jin, perhaps he wouldn't have to care. Sighing, Jiang Hao stopped thinking about it. After suppressing him, he would have more time. He could convince the other party to go to the blood pool to find Gu Jin. There would be a day when they would let go of their grudges. "What's your cultivation realm now?" Hong Yuye asked as she sipped her tea. "Late stage of the Golden Core realm," said Jiang Hao. "I think I might be able to break through to the peak of the Golden Core realm in a year or two." "Are you 40 now?" Hong Yuye asked. "Yes." Jiang Hao nodded. "Peak of Golden Core realm at 40. That's impressive," said Hong Yuye. "How many people do you think in the Heavenly Note sect can advance faster than you?" "Many people. Many seniors are far better than me," said Jiang Hao. Junior brother Han was about the same as him. The other true disciples might be even stronger. The true disciples were young and full of potential. Every single one of them had killed their way up. "Do you have any thoughts of becoming a top disciple?" asked Hong Yuye. "It is every disciple's wish to make a name for themselves in the sect," said Jiang Hao. Hong Yuye looked at Jiang Hao and didn't speak for a long time. "The top disciples are indeed impressive," said Hong Yuye and chuckled. "When do you plan to compete?" "When my cultivation realm is sufficient," said Jiang Hao. "In 1 or 2 years, Junior Brother Han might be able to advance to the late stage of the Golden Core realm." It had only been a few years since he had challenged him. At that time, he would advance to the peak of the Golden Core realm. He would be inches away from reaching the Primordial Spirit realm. When Junior Brother Han reached the late stage of the Primordial Spirit realm, he would be able to challenge the 10th-ranked top disciples. Since Junior Brother Han had the Mountain River Sword embryo, his future was limitless. Hong Yuye didn't ask any more questions. "When the Dragon Cave appears, you have to be prepared to enter." Jiang Hao nodded. He hesitated. "Do you have any advice regarding the Dragon Pearl, Senior?" Hong Yuye glanced at him and didn't say anything. After thinking for a moment, Jiang Hao decided to wait and see. If it was safe, he might take Shaoli there. If not, he wouldn't. The 9 Nether would stay with Shaoli, just in case. After that, Hong Yuye left. Jiang Hao heaved a sigh of relief. He began to study the Nameless Manual. He was going out, so he needed to improve himself as much as possible. At that moment, the spirit beast wailed. Jiang Hao ignored it. As time passed, the number of people in the sect increased. Some had recovered from their injuries, while others had come out of seclusion. The number of people in the Spirit Herb Garden also increased. Jiang Hao was teaching everyone cultivation again. It benefited some lifeblood refinement and the Foundation Establishment Realm cultivators. However, his main target was Ching Chou. He explained only the things that would help him. Some of his juniors with higher cultivation realms asked for more explanation, but Jiang Hao shook his head. They felt a little disappointed, but they didn't say anything. Many people left a portion of their blood as payment. It was as if it was a transaction. Now, everyone knew that Jiang Hao was no longer hiding the fact that he practiced the blood wish path. Some people found it hard to believe, while others felt that it was a pity. Some people felt smug because they already knew about it. It was as if they could see that he would be the next Qianchun. Jiang Hao sealed the blood and placed it in a special storage treasure. Perhaps one day this blood would be able to help him. For months later, around mid-November, Jiang Hao's spirit stones decreased by a lot. He stood in the courtyard and looked at the peach tree with a sigh. There weren't many peaches left on the tree. He was about to spend more than 50,000 spirit stones to achieve another incarnation. The first batch of harvest would arrive at the spiritual herb garden. There would be one today. However, before he went over, he wanted to see how many points he still needed. A lifeblood. 88/100 can be cultivated. Cultivation. 90/100 can be cultivated. He needed 22 points. He was a little worried that there would be more than 200 bubbles this time. It would be a waste if he used them all to advance. The first batch would give him 26, and the second might give him 30. He was worried. Jiang Hao took a deep breath and headed toward the spirit herb garden with the spirit beast. Master, when do you think we should confirm the candidacy for the would-be mistress? The spirit beast walked along the river. Jiang Hao glanced at it and continued walking forward. The senior sister Shaoli keeps talking about. Are you serious about her? Asked the spirit beast. Does she like spirit beasts? I don't know, Jiang Hao said. Master, I found someone who likes animals. Do you want to meet her? The spirit beast asked. Jiang Hao ignored it. It was useless even if he found someone like that. He wasn't a person with a steady life. Even if he hadn't met Hong Yuye, he wouldn't have considered it. He struggled to survive among the strong. Why would he drag anyone to do that with him? After a while, Jiang Hao arrived at the spirit herb garden and saw a rows of blue bubbles. He was relieved. He was not in a hurry to go over to absorb the bubbles. He counted them carefully. There were a total of 25 bubbles. He approached carefully. When 22 bubbles merged into his body, his cultivation and lifeblood points reached 100. The 3 bubbles were extra, and he didn't want to waste it. I wonder if it will disappear tomorrow. He rarely got so many bubbles, so he was reluctant to see if it would still be there tomorrow. But he had no choice. After taking care of the spirit herbs, Jiang Hao returned to his courtyard. Without hesitation, he decided to advance to the next stage. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 944. The demoness suddenly paying attention to the top disciple of the sect at 100 Flowers Lake. The November weather didn't bring any changes to the place. Hong Yuye sat in the pavilion as usual. It was as if she had always been here and had never left. Baiji looked at the sect master in a daze. She really didn't know what was on her mind. When the previous sect master had died, the Heavenly Note sect had been attacked by the surrounding demonic sections. It had almost fallen apart. In the end, the current sect master had taken up the position and led the disciples to war. After that, there were no more demonic sects in the vicinity who dared to attack them. The powerful individuals had turned their tails and become disciples of the Heavenly Note sect. The sect master had gone into seclusion. Baiji had thought that she needed to recuperate from her injuries and would take control of the Heavenly Note sect after coming out of seclusion. However, the sect master had no intention of taking back control. She didn't even care about it. Baiji occasionally asked her for advice on sect matters, but that was it. She could not figure it out. After she had become an immortal, Baiji realized just how terrifyingly powerful the sect master must be. Is it news from the mines? Hong Yuye asked. She was making tea for herself. Yes. Baiji nodded. Senior Kendo seems to be competing with an extremely powerful existence. It must be in that tree. They say that the tree is the longevity curse tree. This tree itself is a person. I'm not sure why Kendo wants to fight this person. The matter is likely related to Baiju. We don't have any information about the longevity curse tree. If necessary, we can ask around. Even if the Heavenly Note sect annexed the surrounding areas, their foundation was still not good enough. Hong Yuye nodded. Since the sect master wasn't interested, It meant the matter didn't concern their sect. There was no need to pay too much attention to it. It was enough if they had the general idea. They might be here for a long time, Baiji said. It's fine. Hong Yuye was silent for a moment. You can try to ask him about cultivation problems. Perhaps it will be of help to you. Yes, thank you, Sect Master. Baiji was delighted. Senior Kendo was far more powerful than them. If she could listen to him, she would learn a lot. Even branch masters could participate in the sermons and the first-ranked top disciple. What's the cultivation of the first-ranked top disciple? Hong Yuye asked. He's already at the peak of the return to Void Realm, said Baiji. What about the 10th? Hong Yuye asked again. Early stage of the Soul Ascension Realm, Baiji said. Has anyone challenged him lately? Hong Yuye nodded. Yes. Bai Yi of the 100 Bones Forest, but he failed, Baiji said. She didn't understand why the sect master would suddenly ask about the top disciples. Let's talk about something else, Hong Yuye said. No one knew what she was thinking. After that, Baiji told her about Feng Hua and the Great Thousand God sect. They hadn't found Feng Hua's main body, and she didn't dare show herself. There's news that the Great Thousand God sect is very interested in the South and the Divine Soul. They have been meeting all kinds of people and taking on all kinds of missions. They were especially fond of the Divine Soul of the Holy Master of Heavenly Saints sect. We heard from some people in the Lawless Tower that there are some avatars of the Holy Master. Should we try to get in touch with them? Baiji wasn't sure if she should do it. Hong Yuye was silent for a moment and did not say anything. She let Baiji make her own decision. Baiji reported all sorts of things, including the issue with Jiang Hao. However, the sect master didn't seem interested. After she left, Baiji thought about Senior Kendo. She decided to consult with the branch master and the first-ranked disciple. That would be a first. If they agreed, they would choose a few people from each branch to listen to sermons from Senior Kendo. However, they had to ask Senior Kendo first. Whether he was willing to teach them would depend on his mood. At noon the next day, Jiang Hao woke up from his cultivation. Purple energy was flowing around his body, and the power around him shook the surroundings. It caused space to distort. Late stage of the Immortal Ascension platform, Jiang Hao heaved a sigh of relief. He wasn't surprised. After that, he extracted the remaining cultivation and lifeblood to refine his cultivation. In the evening, he looked at his interface. A lifeblood, 3 of 100 cannot be cultivated. Cultivation, 2/100 cannot be cultivated. I have to accumulate points again. He quickly went to the Spirit Herb Garden to see if the 3 bubbles were still there. When he arrived, he found that the bubbles had already disappeared. If the bubbles weren't picked up immediately, they would just disappear. I wonder if purple and gold bubbles will be the same. Unfortunately, he would never know. He couldn't afford to fail. Jiang Hao tended to the spirit herbs. Half a month later, around early December, Jiang Hao absorbed another 28 bubbles. In another month and a half, 300 seeds would germinate. Only Senior Sister Yes spirit seeds were left. It would take a long time for him to advance further. Jiang Hao returned to his residence after explaining the issues with cultivation to the others in the Spirit Herb Garden. He did it 4 times a month. However, there was an accident this time. There seemed to be news that the first top disciple was at the mines. This made Jiang Hao curious. He asked Ching Chou to find out what was happening. Jiang Hao needed to make sure the peach tree incarnated successfully. In the courtyard, he looked at the 2 remaining fruits on the tree. He picked one and began to carve a formation around it. He arranged the 50,000 spirit stones around the formation. He activated it. The incarnation was happening. The spirit beast guarded the peach tree. It saw the tree burning for the whole night. "Master, the tree is burning. Aren't you going to tie me to it anymore?" asked the spirit beast. Jiang Hao didn't answer. The spirit beast no longer needed to be tied up. The power in its body bursts out occasionally. The next day, Jiang Hao came out of the room and found the spirit beast hanging under the eave. That was strange. Was Hong Yuye here? However, he realized the spirit beast wasn't unconscious or bruised. Master, I'm ready. We can start now. Jiang Hao was speechless. He ignored it and went straight to the peach tree and began searching through the ashes. He found a seed. Jiang Hao appraised it. Immortal peach tree seed, a seed of the immortality peach tree that carries spiritual energy. It is a seed nurtured from the core of an ancient divine tree's fruit. It has a trace of the divine tree's traits. After taking root, germinating, bearing fruit, and undergoing incarnation, it will become a divine tree. Water it with fresh water every day, and it will take root and sprout after a day. It's still the same as before. I wonder how long it'll take to become a divine tree. There was only one more incarnation left. Jiang Hao was curious about the conditions for the last incarnation. It definitely won't be like the other times. He could only wait for the results next year. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 945. The one's always looking for trouble. Looking at the seed in his hand, Jiang Hao didn't think too much about it. Instead, he placed it into the soil. Then, he watered it and waited for it to sprout. He was very curious about the final incarnation of the immortal peach tree. He hoped the final incarnation would change the divine tree. The incarnations didn't make the fruit special, but they did make it delicious. I wonder if it will fail. What will happen if it fails? Jiang Hao was doubtful. After that, he headed to the spirit herb garden. Seeing Jiang Hao walk out, the spirit beast immediately jumped down and chased after him. Master, wait for me. Let's discuss this. The spirit beast was extremely fast. It had 3 rings. Its collar, the cosmic rings, and the ring he had given to it. Jiang Hao didn't pay attention to the spirit beast. Instead, he went to the spirit herb garden and asked Ching Chou about the mines. Lu Xingchen had not been around lately, so there were many things that he did not know. He wondered if he was still looking for another remnant soul. Senior brother Jiang, Ching Chou said. What's wrong? Jiang Hao asked. At that moment they were in the spirit field. Jiang Hao looked at the spirit herbs. He could call the senior sister over and ask her to sign for them soon. The remaining 300 spirit herbs were not urgent to plant. Didn't something happen at the mines? I heard that all the top disciples and branch masters are there. I don't know what exactly is going on, Ching Chou said. Jiang Hao thought for a moment. There was one possibility. Maybe I should ask for advice from Senior Kendo. What kind of existence was Senior Kendo? His cultivation realm was enough for the entire Heavenly Note sect to tremble before him. He naturally hoped that he would learn something from a senior like that. It would be of great benefit. So, they all went. Being a top disciple was indeed not bad, but it was also quite troublesome. If he couldn't ask any direct questions there, he could always ask Hong Yuye and Senior Dan Yuan. So far, he had not encountered any problems with his cultivation. He had questions about immortals, but he did not understand them. Senior Dan Yuan had explained cultivation issues to Zhang very simply. Unfortunately, junior brother Han isn't here. Perhaps he's the one who should be asked to go. Kendo was undoubtedly a sword cultivator, and junior brother Han had already unknowingly embarked on the path of sword cultivation. At the mines, the place that should have been where the miners gathered was covered by sword intent. They were divided into 20 parts. Ku Wu Chang was on his guard. This senior's strength was unbelievable. You can ask questions now. And don't worry. Other than me, no one can hear what you ask me, Kendo said. Ku Wu Chang hesitated for a moment. I would like to ask you about sword cultivation, Senior. How do I help a golden core realm cultivator on a path to sword cultivation? Huh. Kendo was surprised. Who are you asking for? I have a disciple. We only recently learned that he has the talent for sword cultivation, but our sect doesn't have any sword cultivators. It's easy to teach him simple things, but it's very difficult to pave a path for him further into the world of sword cultivation, said Ku Wuchang. And you're willing to help your disciple? Kendo smiled. I didn't know there were people like you in demonic sections. I cannot let such a promising talent go to waste, that's all, said Ku Wuchang. It's easy. I can either teach you the sword's way for a year or him. You choose. Do you want me to teach you so you can teach him, or do you want me to teach him directly? Asked Kendo. He went out. We cannot find him right now, said Ku Wuchang. Oh. Kendo was a little regretful. But I'm still curious. If he were here, what would you have chosen? I don't know. Ku Wuchang was silent for a moment and shook his head. Kendo laughed and began to teach him the way of the sword. The pinnacle of sword cultivation is the will. If you want to go far, you can't be rigidly bound by rules. Your will comes first, and then the sword's will. Ku Wuchang's mind was filled with boundless knowledge. It made him feel a little bitter. At night, when everyone withdrew, they found that Ku Wuchang was still there. This puzzled everyone. He needs to stay here for a year, so you don't have to wait for him, said Kendo kindly. Everyone was surprised. They didn't understand why Ku Wuchang had to stay here for a year. However, they did not ask further. Everyone's learning process was different. Baiji thought for a moment and said, Senior, are you free next year? Are you guys coming back next year too? Kendo shook his head. There's no need for that. You guys won't be able to digest what I've taught you in a year. Senior, you've misunderstood. I was hoping to have a group of disciples listen to your lectures, said Baiji respectfully. Oh. Kendo thought for a moment. That's all right then. I'm bored anyway. It's good to find something to do. There'll always be some people who'll find new trouble. Baiji was speechless. She didn't quite understand why this senior would say such a thing. However, it reminded her of Shaoli and Jiang Hao. They were always in some sort of trouble. One was always in trouble, and the other was simply unteachable. She could send them here to learn too. It wasn't that they were special in the sect. It was simply because their names stuck with her. Alright. I taught 2 people before. I'd like to meet them if it's okay, said Kendo. Baiji and the others were surprised. Senior Kendo met others from the Heavenly Note sect before? Jiang Hao didn't know anything about the mines. He did not think that this matter had anything to do with him. He just wanted to increase his cultivation realm as soon as possible. When the Dragon Cave appeared or Shangguan Qingsu returned, he wanted to be ready. Fortunately, the Shangguan clan didn't have an existence at the Immortal Ascension platform. Even if they used special treasures to reach it, they wouldn't be able to use it as they please. As long as he made it to the peak of the Immortal Ascension platform, he would be able to face the Shangguan clan. After returning to his house, Jiang Hao began to study the nameless manual while waiting for the next day. When the sun set, the stars lit up the sky. A red light jumped out of the forest. The morning sun shone brightly in the courtyard. Jiang Hao walked to the immortal peach tree. A tiny sapling came into view, and beside it was a purple bubble. Divine Power Fragment +1. Jiang Hao looked at his interface. Name: Jiang Hao. Age: 40. Cultivation Realm. Late stage of the Immortal Ascension Platform. Cultivation Method: Heavenly Sound 100 Revolutions. Hong Meng Heart Sutra. Divine Ability: 9 Revolutions. Death Substitution. Unique. Daily Appraisal. Clear and Pure Heart. Reappearance of Hidden Spirit. Divine Might. Revival of Withered Tree. Heavenly Cauldron. Indestructible Vajra Lifeblood. 17/100. Can be cultivated. Cultivation: 18/100. Can be cultivated. Divine Power: 3/3 can be obtained. he could get another divine ability. He wondered what it would be this time. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 946. Great news. There was no way to know about the matter of incarnation for the time being, so Jiang Hao wasn't in a hurry. He needed to see what kind of divine ability would appear. After watering the flower, Jiang Hao walked around. Then, he returned to his room and sat cross-legged on the floor. The spirit beast asked him if he wanted to go to the spirit herb garden. He told it that he wasn't going yet. The spirit beast left him alone after that. It said that it wanted to look for a new mistress. His friends in the underworld would help it. It was eager to find a suitable senior sister for Jiang Hao since Shaoli had already found one. Jiang Hao shook his head. Senior sister Miao also joined in their little game. She was very experienced at matchmaking, after all. It was a headache. Jiang Hao looked at the interface and finally chose to extract the ability. He felt the spiritual energy covering him. His eyes and palms were hot. Was it a divine ability related to the eyes and palm? However, the most obvious feeling was in the surroundings. What divine ability could change the surroundings? Jiang Hao didn't think too much about it. Soon, everything around him disappeared, and the strange feelings faded away. Jiang Hao felt as if a lifetime had passed when he opened his eyes. The sky was still bright. Not too much time had passed. Then, he looked at the interface. He wanted to see the name of the new divine ability. Divine ability. 9 revolutions. Death substitution, unique. Daily appraisal, clear and pure heart. Reappearance of hidden spirit, divine might. Revival of withered tree, heavenly cauldron, indestructible Vajra, myriad nature forest. What divine ability is this? Jiang Hao was surprised. He didn't understand the meaning of this divine ability. Then, he used his daily appraisal ability to find out its use. After a while, he opened his eyes and walked out of the room. When he arrived at the courtyard, he looked at the snow lotus. At that moment, a mysterious rune appeared in his eyes which transformed into a snow lotus. Only then did Jiang Hao stretch out his hand and move it toward the snow lotus. In an instant, an identical snow lotus appeared. It was just an illusion, but it looked real. He took the flower and looked at it. It was indeed a snow lotus, and it was separate from the real snow lotus. The aura of the snow lotus in the courtyard was weaker now. With a wave of his hand, the snow lotus in his hand turned into specks of light and re-entered the snow lotus. This divine ability is a little strange. Jiang Hao felt that it was similar to the clone talisman, but it was also completely different. The clone talisman used the power of the talisman, but the appearance could be used by others. The myriad nature forest stripped away a portion of the object's aura and power to create something identical. I wonder what it will do to humans. He used myriad nature forest on himself. For a moment, he felt a trace of his body being stripped away. Then, an illusory image of him appeared beside him. His aura and appearance were all his, but it did not feel like him. It was an illusion and only had a primordial spirit realm cultivation. Other than that, there was nothing strange. He could not even control it. It seemed that other than being stripped off from his body, there was no other connection to the illusion. It functioned independently, but it had no consciousness. What use is this? It was not as good as a clone talisman. After thinking for a long time, Jiang Hao took out the divine soul of the Holy Master. He had an idea. If he separated a portion of the soul in this way, would it be easier to absorb? After a while, a copy of the divine soul was in his hand. However, if it could be absorbed, it meant that the clone that was separated with the myriad nature forest would affect the main body. He felt that this ability was even more useless. After hesitating for a moment, Jiang Hao took out the heavenly fate misfortune pearl. If this thing could be separated, it would be amazing. He didn't dare to try. He needed to ask first. At the very least, he had to ask Hongye. He first tried other magical treasures and found that the ability worked fine on them. That meant that it would work on the Heavenly Fate Misfortune Pearl too. He just had to wait for Hongye to visit so he could ask her about it. After hesitating for a moment, he took out his heavenly blade. After some time, Jiang Hao gave up. He couldn't use it. The ability didn't work on the heavenly blade. That meant it might not actually work on the Heavenly Fate Misfortune Pearl. The details would have to wait until then. After that, Jiang Hao left the courtyard and went around to look for some demonic beast. He tried, but he could not separate its consciousness as he had done with himself. In the end, Jiang Hao found Shaoli. She was having her dinner. When she saw him, she hesitantly picked out a piece of meat for him. "Here, senior brother. Have some," she said reluctantly. Jiang Hao looked at the meat and shook his head slightly. Shaoli was happy. She ate happily. It seemed that, for her, the happiest thing in the world was to be able to eat without distractions. "Senior brother Jiang, why are you here?" she asked curiously. "I came to find you," Jiang Hao said. He had come to ask her for something. He wanted to see if the myriad nature forest worked on something that wasn't human but had consciousness like the Nine Nether. "Oh? Why are you looking for me?" Shaoli was surprised. "I want the bead for a while," Jiang Hao said. "Little Wang." Shaoli took out the bead with the Nine Nether and handed it to Jiang Hao. The Nine Nether still looked like a dog. "And the Dragon Pearl too," Jiang Hao said. For the sake of safety, he planned to prepare everything. After getting the items, Jiang Hao headed to the spirit herb garden and started to take care of the spirit herbs. Days passed, and it was time for the 300 spirit herbs to finally sprout. Without any hesitation, Jiang Hao went to the center of the bubbles and waited for all the bubbles to merge into his body. Cultivation +1 lifeblood +1 spirit sword +1 strength +1 spirit +1. There were a total of 45 bubbles. It was a lot, but it was still less than half. Senior Sister Yes spirit herbs wouldn't be able to help him advance even after 4 months. However, there was still a year or two before he could reach the late stage of the Immortal Ascension platform. On that day, Jiang Hao heard some rumors that the sect was going to start a competition. It was an extremely rare opportunity. The sect was going to select some outstanding disciples to meet a senior and hear him lecture. This time, the competition would be held among the various branches. After that, the people of the 12 branches would be ranked according to their strength. The further he went, the more likely he would receive more guidance. However, some people were selected by the sect. Jiang Hao didn't pay much attention to it. He knew that it was a good thing for the sect to send outstanding disciples to meet Senior Kendo. However, Jiang Hao didn't care, nor did he want to go. He wanted to find a way to see if he could continue planting high-grade spirit herb seed. Kendo and the others were in the mines. If he went there alone, he would be targeted. However, the sect soon decided on the quota for the number of disciples to be sent. "Good news, senior brother Jiang," Ching Cho said excitedly. "The sect had decided to keep a spot for you." Jiang Hao was speechless. "If you find any errors, ads pop-up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 947. Do you want to die? Were they calling him out? Jiang Hao was surprised. They wouldn't have selected him under normal circumstances, so why had they selected him? "Who else is there besides me?" he asked. Junior sister Shaoli and senior brother Han Ming are in the Foundation, Establishment and Golden Core category. However, senior brother Han Ming is not in the sect. "I don't know if he will be back in time," Ching Cho said. "Shaoli was there too?" Jiang Hao was puzzled. It was only natural for Han Ming to be selected, but why Shaoli? She didn't listen to others teaching her cultivation. Moreover, her cultivation realm had not improved for a long time. What was she going to do? Was she trying to cause trouble? Who else? Jiang Hao asked. Ching Chou mentioned the names of a few more people. Strangely, they weren't that talented. Jiang Hao didn't understand. These people usually functioned independently. They were all troublemakers. What did the sect mean by this? He really couldn't understand. Jiang Hao didn't think too much about it. After all, he would have to wait until October to go to the mines. There were still 9 months left. That was good too. He didn't have to participate in the competition. Those who participated had to be ranked accordingly. When the time came, he would just brush it off. After that, the preparations for the competition began, and every branch was bustling with activity. They wanted to seize this opportunity. Jiang Hao didn't pay any attention to it. He continued to take care of the spirit herbs and study the myriad nature forests. He felt that this divine ability was very strange. He had always wanted to attack the 9 Nether, but he had given up. Around early February, Jiang Hao asked Ching Chou to call Duanmuyen. When she saw the spirit herbs that had already sprouted, she was silent. She looked at Jiang Hao in shock. Junior brother, are you sure you aren't good at refining pills? Perhaps you really are a genius, Duanmuyen said. If someone had such great talent in botany, they were usually good at refining pills. It was such a waste for such a person not to try it. If he was not careful, he would regret it for the rest of his life. It was still early. Many times, pill refinement relied on a type of spiritual energy. If one didn't master this spiritual energy, it would disappear over time. Jiang Hao nodded and thanked her. He really didn't have any such intentions. He knew very well why he had planted them. The only thing he had some talent in was probably talisman making. As for alchemy, it was too time-consuming, and he wasn't interested. He wanted to focus on increasing his cultivation realm. Junior brother, your ability is more powerful than I thought. I really didn't expect this, Duanmuyen said. Luckily, I didn't look past you. Jiang Hao nodded. He thanked senior sister Duanmu. If it weren't for her superior grade spirit herb seeds, he wouldn't have been able to advance so quickly. Although it seemed like a pity that he had spent tens of thousands of spirit stones on them, others would not understand what he had earned. I don't have any more spirit herb seeds right now. If I do, can I find you to plant them? Duanmuyen asked. Jiang Hao thought for a moment. Of course, senior sister. I can do it if I am free. After he advanced, high-grade spirit herb seeds might not be of much use to him. He didn't even know if he could plant them in the future. After seeing her off, Jiang Hao glanced at senior sister Yes spirit herbs. That would take another 3 months. Who knew how many bubbles there would be? Days passed, and Jiang Hao followed his daily routine. Every day, he took care of the spirit herbs, made talismans, and studied the nameless manual. Occasionally, he would explain the cultivation issues to Ching Chou. During that time, he went to the Snow Lotus Pavilion and asked for September spring. He realized that it was already gone. Even the red azure tea was almost finished. Fortunately, he had a lot of good tea on him. It should be able to last 10 years. Every day, Jiang Hao checked the immortal peach tree. The sapling came up to his knees. In a few days, it came up to his waist. And then, in the blink of an eye, it was as tall. Later, it was taller than the surrounding walls. Days went by, and it began to flower. It was already the middle of May when senior sister Yes spirit herbs also sprouted. When Jiang Hao arrived, he obtained 20 blue bubbles. This meant that these spirit herbs were extraordinary. However, it also consumed the most spirit stones. He only had 260,000 spirit stones left. It was more than 10,000 spirit stones than he had expected. The reason was that, at the start of the competition, everyone was worried that they would fight with other sections. The price of goods rose too quickly. Although more people bought talismans, the profits were far less than his expenses. 260,000 spirit stones were still a lot. It might not be as much as 400,000, but still, it was a lot. There was no need to worry about running out of spirit stones. When the seeds sprouted, Jiang Hao didn't rush to inform senior sister Lian Qin. He continued to take care of the spirit herbs and waited for Qing Chou. In the evening, the lecture ended. There were quite a few people who left behind their blood. After carefully putting them away, Jiang Hao returned to his courtyard. He sat by the table and used the universe in a palm to seal the blood. That ability was very useful. He hadn't used many divine abilities lately because he hadn't needed to fight with anyone. It was necessary to use them. "You are cultivating the blood wish path?" asked a voice from behind. Jiang Hao turned and saw a figure in a red and white dress. She walked over and sat opposite him. "Senior," he stood up and bowed. "Some juniors assume I cultivate that path, so they always leave their blood behind whenever I help them with their cultivation. If you really cultivated the blood wish path, you might be able to overturn everyone's assumption regarding that path," said Hong Yuye. It was simply a suggestion. The blood was left behind voluntarily by others. He had never asked for it. The people who cultivated blood wish path used blood by burning their life force because the blood needed to be pure. "Senior, you must be joking. I feel like people's thinking often changes after cultivating that kind of path," said Jiang Hao. "Was there a gathering lately?" Hong Yuye looked at the peach tree and asked. Jiang Hao nodded. "Senior, have you heard of a divine ability that can strip off a part of everything?" "What divine ability?" Hong Yuye looked at Jiang Hao. "Myriad Nature Forest," Jiang Hao said. Hong Yuye was silent for a moment. Then, she looked at Jiang Hao. "What do you plan to do with that divine ability? Is it possible to use it on the Heavenly Fate Misfortune Pearl?" Jiang Hao took out the pearl and asked. He had already made an excuse if she asked how he got that ability. But she hadn't asked. Hong Yuye laughed. She looked at Jiang Hao teasingly. "Do you think you've lived too long already? You don't want to live any longer?" Jiang Hao wasn't surprised. He had wanted to ask anyway. No one who peeks into the Heavenly Fate Misfortune Pearl survives. And those who want to clone it, well, what kind of cultivation realm do you need to be able to withstand that kind of disaster? Hong Yuye asked. Then, what about using it on the 9 nether? Jiang Hao took out the 9 nether. Hong Yuye looked at Jiang Hao. For a moment, she couldn't tell if this person was being bold or stupid. "If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 948. For me? Jiang Hao wasn't imagining things. He felt that the ability could work on the 9 nether. However, he knew that using it on the Heavenly Fate Misfortune Pearl was dangerous. Hong Yuye's strength was extraordinary, so it might have been enough to avoid danger. The main reason was that he wanted to use the item separated from the Heavenly Fate Misfortune Pearl to complete his plan. If he couldn't do it, it would be quite troublesome. Now, it seemed that he had to think about it carefully. He had to think of other ways. The Heavenly Fate Misfortune Pearl was too risky. Even prying into it brought disaster. It brought misfortune to all. However, the 9 nether was different. Although the 9 nether was terrifying, it was not invincible or a bringer of ill luck. It had many things it feared. It feared the Heavenly Fate Misfortune Pearl, the Earth Extreme Silent Pearl, and the Dragon Pearl. Every single one of them could make it surrender. If the pearls were placed together, the 9 nether would be terrified to do anything at all. "What do you want to do with the 9 nether?" Hong Yuye asked. She didn't discourage him like before. Jiang Hao was certain that it was possible to use his ability on the 9 nether. The 9 nether is chaotic, to begin with, and the part that is separated from it will also be similar. It may even develop some intelligence, but if we use it well, the danger would be reduced. "You want to use the separated 9 nether often?" Hong Yuye took a sip of the tea Jiang Hao had brewed. "I'll give it to Shaoli for safekeeping. She's a dragon and wears a dragon pearl. The 9 Nether won't dare to bother her. Even if it does something wrong, I can seal it back, said Jiang Hao. That way, the 9 Nether could be used to do more things. Hong Yuye thought for a moment. How do you plan to do it? Jiang Hao explained what he planned. In fact, it was very simple. He would have the Heavenly Fate Misfortune Pearl, the Earth Extreme Silent Pearl, and the Dragon Pearl ready beside him. After that, he would use his divine ability. The problem was that his cultivation realm might not be enough. He might not be strong enough to try it. After all, the power of the 9 Nether might backfire on the caster. The myriad nature forest wasn't easy to use. The others nearby could detect him using it. It might be difficult to succeed if he was targeted while using it. Hong Yuye looked at Jiang Hao and didn't speak for a long time. You can give it a try. Thank you, Senior, said Jiang Hao. He did have a chance of success, especially with the Heavenly Fate Misfortune Pearl and the Earth Extreme Silent Pearl in his hand. The 9 Nether wouldn't dare try anything. When they were ready, Jiang Hao surrounded 9 Nether with the 3 pearls. The 9 Nether was terrified. Jiang Hao looked at Hong Yuye, who sat opposite him. After she nodded, he activated the divine ability, Myriad Nature Forest. Countless mysterious symbols appeared. Divine abilities consumed spiritual energy, and using an ability on something like 9 Nether consumed even more. In the evening, Jiang Hao activated the reappearance of the hidden spirit. At midnight, the runes burned brighter. Although a phantom of the 9 Nether appeared, it was still far from enough. Before his power was exhausted, vast spiritual energy surged into his body. He could continue using his divine ability. 3 days later, Jiang Hao bled from his eyes, but he didn't stop. He continued to use the Myriad Nature Forest. For a moment, the phantom of the 9 Nether began to appear clearer. Chaos and distortion began to invade his primordial spirit. In his mind, Jiang Hao saw the chaos rushing toward him like a ferocious beast. He was calm and composed. Then, he stepped forward and the shadow of the heavenly blade condensed in his hand. Then, he slashed. It was unstoppable. The chaos disintegrated under the heavenly blade, and his primordial spirit stood proudly in his heart with a purple aura. At the same time, the runes stopped spinning, and the 9 Nether's figure appeared before him. Jiang Hao stretched out his hand and touched the 9 Nether. His hand bled and his bones cracked. The 9 Nether released a wisp of black gas. It was chaotic. However, under the encirclement of the Heavenly Fate Misfortune Pearl, the 9 Nether didn't dare move. Jiang Hao heaved a sigh of relief. He was injured, and it was quite serious. Jiang Hao felt very tired. Fortunately, he had succeeded. Without hesitation, he extended his other hand and used the universe in a palm to seal the 9 Nether that had been separated. He would hand it over to Shaoli later. Thank you for your help, Senior. He bowed to Hong Yuye. He knew that he would be lethally injured if not for her. The Myriad Nature Forest required a high cultivation realm. How do you plan to thank me? Hong Yuye asked as she sipped her tea. I'll do anything you want, Senior, Jiang Hao said seriously. Hong Yuye looked at him and fell silent for a long time. She didn't say anything else. Jiang Hao rested and tried to heal himself. His other divine ability, Revival of Withered Tree, worked hard to heal him. It could heal every kind of injury. However, the recovery was slow. After a while, he felt better. He wiped the blood from the corner of his eyes. You separated 9 Nether for Shaoli. Why do you want to clone the Heavenly Fate Misfortune Pearl? Hong Yuye asked. Jiang Hao said respectfully, For you, Senior. Hong Yuye looked confused. The root cause lies in the Shangguan clan. The clues about the one behind the stone tablets point to them. Whether it's Heavenly King Taomu, the end of all things, or the Great Thousand God sect, they are all from overseas. If there is a force overseas that we can use, it will be easier for our investigation. Therefore, if I can help them, they'll help me. I need to make a clone of the heavenly fate misfortune pearl to help them with their curse. Hong Yuya looked at Jiang Hao and smiled. You've put in a lot of effort for my task. That is what I do, Senior, Jiang Hao said. Can your spirit beast compare to you in the lies you speak? Hong Yuya asked. Jiang Hao didn't answer that. Hong Yuya looked at the immortal peach tree. Can it really become a divine tree after one more incarnation? Yes. Jiang Hao nodded. The immortal peach tree only had one last incarnation left. The last incarnation wouldn't be ordinary. When do you plan to make it go through the last incarnation? Hong Yuya asked. It depends on the timing. Jiang Hao shook his head. Come closer, said Hong Yuya as she looked at Jiang Hao. Jiang Hao was puzzled, but he leaned forward. At that moment, Hong Yuya tapped Jiang Hao's forehead. Her touch was cold. Immediately after, the vast aura spread. By the time Jiang Hao reacted, he was already flying backward. Then, he crashed heavily into the wall. An intense pain spread through his back. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 949. Still thankful. After being attacked by the demoness, Jiang Hao got up helplessly. He didn't understand why Hong Yuya attacked him suddenly. However, it had been a long time since she had done that. He had forgotten how vast her aura was. It seemed she was still far too strong. The gap between their strength was insurmountable. What realm did one need to be in order to get close to her strength? Jiang Hao circulated his power and continued to heal himself. He frowned. He found that his injuries had disappeared. Thank you, Senior. Jiang Hao lowered his head gratefully. It felt strange. She had attacked him but had helped him heal. Hong Yuya looked at him with interest. Show me the 9 nether. Jiang Hao knew that she was asking about the cloned 9 nether. He took it out and removed the seal. The illusionary 9 nether was lying motionless on the ground. It was afraid. Jiang Hao looked at the creature. It was interesting that this creature had made the human emperor wage a war back in the day. Hong Yuya looked at it and asked Jiang Hao to call Shaoli over. He sent out a communication talisman to Shaoli. Shaoli walked into the courtyard with a guilty look on her face. She was worried that she had been called here to be yelled at. Jiang Hao had never called her before. Something must have happened. It wasn't a good thing. Senior brother Jiang, senior sister, Shaoli said tentatively. Come in. Hong Yuya smiled. Shaoli heaved a sigh of relief when she saw her and quickly walked to the table. Then, she searched her pockets and took out 2 dates. She offered them each. Jiang Hao looked at the date. He wiped it and put it in his mouth. It was a little sour. Senior brother Jiang, why were you looking for me? Shaoli asked. Look. Jiang Hao pointed at the 9 nether. Little Wang. Shaoli went closer and poked it. She realized that it was motionless. Senior brother Jiang, is little Wang dead? She asked. Jiang Hao put away the pearl. The 9 nether moved, but it was still afraid of Shaoli. It's alive. Does little Wang remember me? Shaoli poked the 9 nether. Then, Shaoli made it stand up. Unfortunately, it wasn't obedient this time. Shaoli was a little disappointed. I'll buy you something to eat, Hong Yuya said. Shaoli was happy. At least, the 9 nether was out now. It used to be in a bead all along. Jiang Hao returned the dragon pearl to Shaoli. As for the 9 nether's main body, he would keep it with him. He could merge the 2 9 nethers at any time. Taking advantage of his free time, Jiang Hao talked about the upcoming sect competition. He wanted to hear the senior teach cultivation and wanted to make Shaoli listen. If she fell asleep, it might offend the senior. Mu Longyu had returned overseas. At that moment, the 11 heavenly kings met at the sea. There were 12 pillars of water in the area, and on each pillar was a throne. 11 kings were sitting on the thrones atop 11 pillars, except for one. Mu Longyu was in his seat. "Is Hai Luo still not coming back?" asked a woman. No one answered. "He might not be coming back," said Mu Longyu. "Then, what should we do?" asked a brawny man. "Do you really think that you can become an immortal if all 12 heavenly kings are here?" Heavenly King Taomu asked. The others fell silent. A heavenly king had never become an immortal. Or rather, they had never collectively become immortals. Although some heavenly kings had managed to become an immortal before, they had had to abdicate their thrones. Even so, it was still very difficult. The 12 heavenly kings must become immortals together. Otherwise, no one would be able to. Even if Heavenly King Hai Luo was present, it would be extremely difficult to become an immortal. Without him, it was impossible. "Heavenly King Taomu, do you have any other solution?" asked a woman. Heavenly King Taomu fell silent. He had no idea what to do. "Did you notice anything? King Hai Luo has been acting strange lately," someone said. "What does he intend to do?" asked a young woman. "Do you still remember the woman who fell into the abyssal sea? Do you think King Hai Luo did something to her? I think the reason he is absent is not because he doesn't want to be an immortal. He might have wanted to break away from being the heavenly king and become an immortal by himself," said another man. Everyone was surprised. Had Hai Luo planned all that? I don't think that's true. It's not easy to break away from the heavenly king's fortunes so easily. We all know that. By the way, have you heard of the Dragon Cave? Taomu suddenly asked. I heard about it. Mu Longyu nodded. I also heard something else. Heavenly King Taomu has been in contact with the Heavenly Tower. You know about it, right? Looks like you know about it too, King Mu, said King Taomu. I heard that there are some incredible things in the Dragon Cave. The end of all things and the Saint Bandits both have their eyes on the cave. There is something there that they want to awaken. The Dragon Cave isn't as simple as it seems. Then, the Heavenly Kings began to discuss. When the discussion ended, King Mu Longyu said, I will be making a trip to the Heavenly Note sect soon. Is there anything you need me to take for Hai Luo? Why are you going there again? Asked a woman who was also a Heavenly King. I have a person who might be able to guide us to become immortals, said Mu Longyu truthfully. Really? Is there someone that amazing in that sect? Mu Longyu didn't say anything. Instead, he said, but there will be a price to pay. Are you willing to pay the price? If this fails, I'm willing to pay any price needed, said King Taomu. The others didn't say anything. They needed time to think about it. The 11 Heavenly Kings stopped talking. They disappeared at the same time. Right after they were gone, the pillars also disappeared. The Heavenly Spirit Tribe's headquarters were on an island. Some seafood businesses were seriously impacted because of the recent issue at the sea. Someone needed to take care of it. The internal clansmen spent a few months trying to solve it but could not do anything. A few days ago, a clansman returned from the sea. He had good news. The issue of the water quality in the east has been solved. Good news. A young man who looked to be in his early 20s was surrounded by a group of people. Some seemed to admire him, while others seemed skeptical. The young man was calm and unfazed. At that moment, a middle-aged man received him. What's your name? Asked the middle-aged man. Im Tong Wu Sr., the young man said. All right. What reward do you want? I hope that if there are any problems in the clan, younger people will be allowed to try to solve them. I have no wish but to solve our clan's issues, said Tong Wu. Why? I want my mother's memorial tablet to be placed in the ancestral hall. All right, said the middle-aged man. I'll give you a chance. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 950. Who was this disciple? After Hong Yuya left, Jiang Hao went on with his daily routine. The immortal peach tree had already begun to bear fruit and was waiting for the final incarnation. 3 months later, around mid-August, Jiang Hao picked one of the peaches and tasted it. It was too sweet. He had never eaten such delicious peaches before, but there was nothing extraordinary about it. Without any spiritual energy, it would not help with his cultivation. It was delicious. Then, he appraised it. He realized that there was no mention of incarnation yet. It seemed that he had to wait until the fruits were mature. The sect competition was about to begin. Jiang Hao wanted to participate as well. However, it was a pity that junior brother Han Ming had not returned yet. He had missed an opportunity. Anyone could miss out on Kendo's teaching, but Han Ming simply couldn't. At the end of August, the competition began. This was a sect-wide competition. Jiang Hao's opponents were other Golden Core Realm disciples. All Golden Core Realm cultivators competed. He decided to admit defeat after facing someone at the peak of the Gold Core Realm. Most of the late-stage Golden Core Realm cultivators won. Shaoli was brilliant. She was ranked the best among the Foundation Establishment Realm cultivators. Even a cultivator at the peak of the Foundation Establishment Realm had lost to her. Her fame rose. The Cliff of Broken Hearts had another promising disciple. It was just that Shaoli had been stuck in that realm for a long time. She was extraordinary. She was a true disciple, so it was expected. Shaoli even ranked higher than Jiang Hao. Jiang Hao was decent among the Golden Core Realm cultivators. Jiang Hao felt a little helpless when he knew of the result. However, the sect knew how Shaoli was. He didn't know why the sect chose Shaoli to listen to a lecture. He had no choice but to wait until October. Senior Sister Lian Qin had already been informed of Senior Sister Ye's spirit herbs, and she wasn't very surprised. Senior Sister Yi, on the other hand, had made a visit. She wanted to see for herself. She couldn't believe what she saw. Rumor has it that someone from the Candlelight Pill Pavilion came across a gifted gardener who can raise extraordinary spirit herbs. I assume that's you? Jiang Hao shook his head. He felt uneasy that he was famous. He denied it. But Senior Sister Yi didn't seem like she was going to give him any more seeds. Senior Sister Yi sighed and went to look for the spirit beast to discuss the matter of her golden chickens. Jiang Hao didn't know what kind of discussion they would have. After that, nothing happened in Jiang Hao's life. Other than explaining the cultivation method to everyone, he also took care of the spirit herbs. The days returned to normal, and he went about his daily routine. October arrived very quickly. It was time to go to the mines. It was almost time to go and listen to Senior Kendo's teachings. Jiang Hao didn't expect too much. He wouldn't be able to understand much anyway. It would be too profound for him. It was already October, and he wasn't too far away from advancing to the peak of his cultivation realm. Name: Jiang Hao. Age: 41. Cultivation realm. Late stage of the Immortal Ascension platform. Cultivation method: Heavenly Sound 100 revolutions. Hong Meng Heart Sutra. Divine ability: 9 revolutions. Death substitution. Unique. Daily appraisal: Clear and pure heart. Reappearance of hidden spirit. Divine might. Revival of withered tree. Heavenly cauldron. Indestructible Vajra. Myriad nature forest. Lifeblood. 82/100 can be cultivated. Cultivation: 80/100 can be cultivated. Divine abilities: 0/3 cannot be obtained. The cultivation and lifeblood points were at 80. Jiang Hao was surprised. It was much quicker than expected. It had only been a year. It was all because of the high-grade spirit herbs. Unfortunately, he didn't have more. The Candlelight Pill Pavilion would take a long time before they gave him more. We're going to the mines today, Jiang Hao said to Ching Chou before he left. Don't worry, Senior Brother Jiang, said Ching Chou. You can leave the spirit herb garden to me. Jiang Hao nodded and left with Shaoli. This time, the spirit beast didn't follow. It was very busy. Goodbye, Senior Brother Ching. Shaoli waved at Chingcho. Senior brother Jiang, if I don't listen, I won't be given any food, right? She asked as they headed toward the mines. Yes. Jiang Hao nodded. Shaoli nodded. She decided to listen to the lecture very attentively. Jiang Hao glanced at her and sighed. He knew Shaoli very well. She even fell asleep when he taught her. She wouldn't care about others. He had no choice but to wait and see. The sect attached great importance to this lecture, and Elder Baiji personally came to attend it. The other disciples bowed in respect and didn't dare to make a sound. They found a place and sat cross-legged on the ground. After helping Shaoli find a seat, Jiang Hao sat at the back. At that moment, he saw that there was an area covered by the sword's intent in the mines, which was a little surprising. He waited for Senior Kendo to arrive. It had been a year, but Gui had not made any progress. She was still wasting time to find a solution to the Gu Chongqing issues. She did not know when he would be willing to negotiate. As for Jiang Hao, he hadn't sensed the subring being activated. Shangguan Qingsu might not have reached yet. He still needed some time. There was no news of Dragon Cave either. Jiang Hao was not in a hurry. At that moment, everyone was already in position, and the sword's intent burst out from the mines. A shadow appeared in the sky. Everyone below stood up and bowed respectfully. All right. I see there are quite a number of people here. There are people of all cultivation realms too. I'll start with the lifeblood refinement realm. Feel free to ask any questions you have, said Kendo. Everyone sat down and listened attentively. Jiang Hao was also listening. Perhaps listening to Kendo's teachings might teach him something more. Then, Kendo began to explain a technique related to the lifeblood refinement realm. It was a strange technique. As far as Jiang Hao knew, the lifeblood refinement realm was divided into static and dynamic technique. What Kendo taught was related to swords and magical treasures. This method was much faster and more convenient. However, there were pros and cons to it. If one became dependent on it, it would affect subsequent cultivation realms. However, if he could quickly adapt to his own cultivation technique, he could be 20% faster. 10 years of cultivation would be reduced to only 8 years. As Jiang Hao listened, many people began to ask questions. Kendo answered them one by one. However, Kendo seemed a little disappointed. What is this? Don't be so cautious. Ask anything you like. Any wild questions or ideas you have, you can ask undaunted. Jiang Hao was confused. Why would he say that? However, just as Kendo was about to urge them to ask bolder questions, he saw someone sleeping. Shaoli had fallen asleep again. She was drooling. Kendo was puzzled. He couldn't understand why she had fallen asleep. Little girl, Kendo said. You're right, master. Shaoli was startled awake. She wiped her drool instinctively. Kendo was speechless. Jiang Hao was speechless too. The others were shocked. They realized that there were many extraordinary disciples here. But they didn't realize someone would dare to fall asleep in the middle of a lecture from a powerful senior. Who was this disciple? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 951. Who are these people? 1. Shaoli sat there cluelessly, and her eyes darted around to make sense of her surroundings. Only then did she realize she wasn't in the Cliff Master's courtyard. She had fallen asleep. She had done exactly what her senior brother had told her to be careful of. Everyone was looking at her, and she was quite worried. She wondered if she would get any food tonight. Would she get dinner tomorrow? What if this senior was a friend of the spirit beast? Would she be fine then? Shaoli's mind was full of questions. Kendo looked in disbelief at her. What's your cultivation realm? Middle stage of the foundation establishment realm, Shaoli said. Are you having a hard time understanding my teachings? Kendo asked. Don't worry. Just tell me the truth. No, said Shaoli. It wasn't boring or anything. Then, why did you sleep? Kendo was confused. I'm just sleepy, Shaoli said softly. Don't you want to learn? Don't you want to increase your cultivation realm? Kendo asked gently. Shaoli shook her head. She didn't want to do any of that. Then, she caught herself and nodded. Kendo was speechless. He felt insulted. Whose disciple are you? He asked. My master is Ku Wuchang, Shaoli said. Ku Wuchang. Kendo first looked at the place covered by the sword's intent in the distance. He felt that it must have been difficult to raise such a disciple. After thinking for a while, he said, Then, let me ask you, do you want to advance to the late stage of the Foundation establishment realm? I don't want to, Shaoli said. Kendo was caught off guard. He looked at the child in front of him in disbelief. Are you here to cause trouble? Shaoli shook her head. Kendo frowned. All right then. Tell me what you wish for. My wish. Shaoli's eyes widened. Can you bring my parents back to life? Kendo sighed. No. Tell me something else that you want. Then, Shaoli looked behind her. Don't look at anyone else. Just tell me truthfully what you want, said Kendo. All right. I'll tell you, but you can't get mad at me, said Shaoli seriously. I won't be mad at you, said Kendo. Tell me. Speak freely. He wanted to help this little girl in any way he could. I want something to eat. I feel hungry, said Shaoli. The crowd fell silent. Shaoli's words shocked everyone. Kendo was astonished. Shaoli looked at him. I told you, now you're angry at me. My master is the same too. He always gets mad at me but says he isn't. Kendo felt that it was his fault. Why did he have to ask her in the first place? Of course you can eat food here, said Kendo. He felt that this little girl wasn't ordinary. It was a pity he couldn't see her real form. What surprised him even more was that he could see something like a ball of fog on her, but someone was helping to cover it. He was certain of one thing, though. Being her master must be a headache. After that, Kendo looked at Jiang Hao. He had seen him before and felt that he was not ordinary. Friend, which branch are you from? His sword's intent surrounded Jiang Hao. I'm from the Cliff of Broken Hearts, Senior, said Jiang Hao respectfully. You're in the late stage of the Golden Core realm? Yes. Jiang Hao nodded. Do you want to advance? I'll teach you. Yes. Thank you, Senior, Jiang Hao said gratefully. Then come. Let me open up the path to the peak of the Gold Core realm for you, Kendo said eagerly. Then, Jiang Hao revealed his cultivation realm and told him what he was confused about. He also revealed his understanding of the late stage of the Golden Core realm. Kendo nodded and then put forward his own idea. Jiang Hao was shocked. His perception widened. He was about to advance to the peak of the Gold Core realm. Kendo was speechless. Wasn't this too fast? After that, Jiang Hao expressed his gratitude and left quickly. The others were excited. Some were even more envious. They looked at Kendo in anticipation. Who wouldn't want the opportunity to advance on the spot? Kendo turned and saw a man. He was stunned. There were at least 4 remnant auras on his body. What is this? Jiang Hao heaved a sigh of relief when he reached his courtyard. He wanted to use Blood Wish Path to advance, but he did not expect Kendo to help him first. He had benefited a lot this time. This advancement was logical. It wasn't suspicious at all. Junior brother Han Ming was probably at the late stage of the Golden Core realm. He would still be defeated by Jiang Hao when he returned. Who knew what junior brother Han would feel after missing out on such an opportunity? When Kendo had looked into the distance as Shao mentioned the Cliff Master, Jiang had peeked too. It's been almost a year. Why is the Cliff Master still there? He closed his eyes and began to cultivate. In a few days, he would be able to modify his cultivation to the peak of the Gold Core realm. Being at the peak of the Golden Core realm at 41 was still an achievement. He needed to keep a low profile and make it seem like he was still following the Blood Wish path. That way, many people would still feel that he was still using that path to get stronger. Senior Kendo's lectures lasted a month. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 952. Who are these people? 2. Jiang Hao revisited the mines after advancing. There were indeed many benefits. Shaoli also went there every day, but she fell asleep without fail in the middle of the lecture. Kendo woke her up every time. He always called out her name the moment she fell asleep. Shaoli cooperated and listened carefully. But she still fell asleep. This is the first time I've seen someone sleep so much. Kendo sighed. Jiang Hao saw Lu Xingchen there as well. He could sense 4 different auras coming from Lu Xingchen. Had he found another remnant soul? He didn't dare use his daily appraisal ability in front of Kendo. Such a powerful person might be able to detect his use of ability. October passed very quickly. Those who listened to Kendo's lectures advanced quickly. The explanation was from Lifeblood Refinement Realm to Immortal Ascension Platform, so everyone benefited greatly. When it was over, Kendo said, "It's very surprising you're up today. You can go back to sleep. Senior, this is for you." Shaoli hesitated for a moment before giving a peach to him. "Thank you. You know, I care for you, but I also feel like you're wasting your talent day by day." Kendo sighed. He felt that this child was absolutely unteachable. Shaoli only cared about food and nothing else. If she were to take her cultivation seriously, she could definitely become stronger than everyone else. When everything was over, Kendo returned to the longevity curse tree. He took a bite of the peach Shaoli had given him. "This is delicious. Senior, can't you find something for us to eat?" said Baizhu as she held her grumbling stomach. She had been cultivating here for more than a year, and Kendo often guided her in the way of the sword. Her cultivation realm had improved a lot. In a few decades, she might be able to ascend the Immortal Ascension platform if an immortal path opened up. "This is a gift from someone," Kendo said. "Senior, let me ask you something. Do you think the 12 heavenly kings can become immortals?" Baizhu asked curiously. 12 heavenly kings? Kendo thought for a moment. Overseas has treated the 12 heavenly kings well. But they have never succeeded in becoming immortals. It isn't that they can't do it, but the heavenly king's fortune is just a heavy burden to bear. Even if everything worked in their favor, the heavenly kings might still fail. The struggle is useless. Why? Baizhu asked curiously. She knew that the heavenly king's fortune stopped the kings from ascending, but she didn't know why exactly. The 12 heavenly kings aren't just bound to the people. They are bound to the sea. Ascending to immortality is akin to dragging the whole sea realm with them, said Kendo and smiled. The whole sea realm would then become the immortal realm. Why is that? Does the Grand Earth Emperor also have to drag the whole Earth into the immortal realm? Is it the same for the one with the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment? Baizhu asked. That seemed impossible. Kendo thought for a moment. The Heaven Tao Foundation establishment is based on the power of the heavens and earth. The Grand Earth Emperor is blessed by the mountains and seas. They aren't like the 12 heavenly kings. The kings have a limit. Their combined power is on a whole other level. But the one with the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment and the Grand Earth Emperor harness their innate talent to advance. So, it's very different. Then, they have no hope at all? Baizhu couldn't quite believe it. I heard that they have to find someone else to help them. Unfortunately, not many people exist in the world who can help them. It's only hypothetical. Besides, the one who is willing and able to help them would have to open the immortal path by themselves. That was what the sword god told me, said Kendo. Baizhu nodded. This information was very important. She had to find a way to use that information to her advantage. However, it was bad. The 12 heavenly kings had never succeeded. They might fail this time too. It is said that the heavenly king's opportunity to become an immortal lasts for 100 years. Even if they can find a person to help them open an immortal path after that, it'll be useless, said Kendo. Baizhu was speechless. The requirements for a heavenly king to become an immortal were too severe. It was no wonder they had no hope of becoming an immortal. Around early November, Jiang Hao was thinking about how to gather bubbles for himself. It had been more than a year. Shangguan Qingsu should have already reached her clan overseas. When she activated the golden ring, he would have to go too. Moreover, the dragon cave might be opening soon. He did not expect that he would have to travel overseas again. He hadn't gotten any news yet, so he was in no rush. I wonder if there'll be anyone from the north in the gathering. The first time they had participated, Jiang Hao felt that this was not the only gathering Senior Dan Yuan had held. Later, Zhang was added. He was unsure if there were others like Zhang. Jiang Hao didn't think too much about it. He looked at the immortal peach tree. There were only 5 fruits on it. It was already mature, so he appraised it to see if he could activate another incarnation process. He used his divine ability. Immortal peach tree. It is related to the ancient divine tree, the immortal peach tree. It has a trace of the divine tree's traits, and the fruit is sweet and fragrant. Leave 1 fruit on the tree and use 999,999 spirit stones to set up a spirit gathering array around it. It can activate the divine trace and undergo incarnation. It can withstand the tempering of lightning for 49 days. Please let us know report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 953. Gu Jin might merge with the blood pool at Devil's Den. Jiang Hao drew out a formation and began to walk deeper inside the forest. The red mist dispersed. Jiang Hao walked forward step by step and held the heavenly fate misfortune pearl in front of him. No one dared to get close to him. It felt as though the place was welcoming him back. Jiang Hao arrived before the sticky ground. He knew that he would enter the blood pool if he continued forward. After hesitating for a moment, he activated Myriad Nature Forest. Unfortunately, his divine ability soon stopped functioning. Something was forming, but it wasn't the blood pool. He continued ahead. Do I have to enter the depths? The deepest place he had ventured into was to get the Earth Extreme Silent Pearl. He didn't know how deep the path went. Unfortunately, Old Man Corpse C is unwilling to cooperate. He had been to the 5th floor of Lawless Tower, but Old Man Corpse C refused to talk to him. If he wasn't curious about the tower, he would have killed himself already. He was just a clone, so it was easy for him to die. He just had to give up on his spiritual will. So far, Jiang Hao had no leverage over him. Old Man Corpse C simply refused to speak. He needed more time. As such, it was impossible to know where he had encountered Gu Jin. Fortunately, Hong Yuye had agreed to help him. Otherwise, Jiang Hao wouldn't have dared to come here. He walked incautiously. He was walking on the blood pool, and the blood water was surging under his feet. It was as if it would devour him at any moment. After a long time, a figure manifested. It was Gu Jin. Jiang Hao was a little worried when he saw him. He worried that this person was evil and would kill him. At this moment, the figure turned to look at him and smiled. Greetings, Senior. Jiang Hao was in the form of smiling Sansheng. He bowed respectfully. We meet again, Gu Jin said. Jiang Hao wanted to ask if he was evil, but he swallowed his words. There were some things he couldn't ask. If he did, he might get into trouble. He decided to pretend like there was no problem at all. There was no need to think about it too much. I want to ask you if there's any other way to suppress Gu Chongqing other than the 100 Nights Curse, Jiang Hao said. He didn't want to ask that, but he had nothing else to ask. Yes, there is. Gu Jin nodded. Go find a divine tree. As long as the spokesperson stays under the tree, you can use the 100 Nights Curse as a medium to compete with him. That way you can quickly suppress Gu Chongqing. Divine trees repel each other, especially the longevity curse tree. It rejects other divine trees. Jiang Hao nodded. That was something he had not expected to learn. However, it was harder than suppressing the 100 Nights Curse because it wasn't like he could find a divine tree just anywhere. Up until now, he hadn't seen another tree as strong as the longevity curse tree. The immortal peach tree could only become a divine tree after another incarnation. So far, other than having a trace of the divine tree's characteristics, there was nothing special about it. He could also ask if there was another divine tree at the gathering. Perhaps others knew something. Gu Chongqing could return one day. It would be quite troublesome if that happened when he wasn't strong enough. As long as he blocked the 100 Nights Curse and Gui successfully suppressed him, everything would be okay. She could also keep tabs on Gu Chongqing from time to time. Senior, you're affected by the blood pool, right? Asked Jiang Hao. Can you become one with it? Not yet, Gu Jin said. Jiang Hao lowered his head. That meant that it would happen in the future. If he successfully cloned the blood pool, would Gu Jin be affected by it? Jiang Hao wanted to appraise it. After bidding farewell to Gu Jin, Jiang Hao walked inside. Before, he didn't care. After all, he had walked this path before. However, he felt worried at that moment. If Gu Jin was triggered, it would be dangerous. Luckily, he did not encounter anything. This place was still like a tidal wave. Jiang Hao turned to look at the blood pool, and runes appeared before his eyes. With the heavenly fate misfortune pearl in hand, Jiang Hao's progress was smooth. There were a few times when he felt that the blood pool was targeting him, but it retreated. 3 days later, the power in his chest rapidly depleted. The heavenly fate misfortune pearl in his hand seemed to suppress everything. Jiang Hao saw blood before his eyes. However, he did not suffer any injuries. At that moment, a sea of blood appeared before his eyes. That was his limit. Jiang Hao stretched out his hand and a blood-red lake appeared. He used the universe in a palm ability. Purple energy burst forth and covered the lake. In the end, the purple energy returned and gathered into a pearl in his hand. It's done. Jiang Hao wiped the blood from the corner of his eyes. He felt that this divine ability was very harmful to his eyes. He needed a lot of time to recuperate. He appraised it. Blood pool. The blood pool that created the heavenly fate misfortune pearl. It is a part of the blood pool itself, and contains all the misfortune and curse of the world. Similar to the heavenly fate misfortune pearl, this can be used to control the blood pool and also allow the power of the curse of the blood pool to approach the heavenly fate misfortune pearl. There is a trace of Gu Jin too. He is divided into evil and good. His evil aspect is compatible with the blood pool, and his good aspect is too far away from his main body to suppress it. The seal needs to be suppressed with purple energy for a month. Otherwise, the evil spirit will develop consciousness and break through the seal. The evil and good aspects of Gu Jin? How strong is he? Gu Jin had almost become a part of the blood pool. It was no wonder he hadn't merged into the blood pool right away. Once he was unable to control his evil aspect, something big might happen. If he merged with the blood pool, his evil and good aspects might blend together, and he might finally become a normal person. Jiang Hao didn't know if his guess was correct, but he couldn't ignore Gu Jin's strength. Then, he disappeared from his spot. Jiang Hao took out the clone of the blood pool with him when he returned to his courtyard. He felt that it might really be useful. He prepared to travel overseas. He had to think of a way to advance to the peak of the Immortal Ascension platform. Who else has high-grade spirit herb seeds now? Jiang Hao thought for a moment before looking for Bai Yi. Since the other party wanted to befriend him, he would give him a chance. As long as he could get 200 high-grade spiritual herbs, he would do away with the sealing technique he had placed on Bai Yi. At night, Bai Yi was gazing at the stars when he frowned suddenly. "What's wrong?" Lian Qin asked curiously. "My luck. It seems to have turned," said Bai Yi eagerly. "I feel good, but I don't know how it happened." He felt uneasy. The next day, Lian Qin found out that the spirit herb garden of the Cliff of Broken Hearts needed some high-grade spirit herb seed. Bai Yi knew his chance was here. The day had finally arrived. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 954. Acknowledging Smiling Sansheng as a master. Continue reading on. Within 2 days, Lian Qin arrived with 300 high-grade spirit herbs. She said that she had some high-grade spirit herb seeds and hoped Jiang Hao could help grow them. However, they were all useless. Jiang Hao checked them. It would take him more than 10 days to appraise them all. Bai Yi had a lot of influence. He could gather so many spirit herb seeds so quickly. There were a lot of bottles of spirit liquid and spirit stones with the seeds. From the looks of it, Bai Yi was trying really hard. He must have given up on his grudges against Jiang Hao. That was good. After all, it was very troublesome to get rid of someone like Bai Yi who had made great contributions to the sect. The other party was a great disciple. He wouldn't have used the spirit sealing technique if it was that easy. "Thank you, senior sister. I will try my best to plant them well," Jiang Hao said seriously. "Junior brother, there's no need to feel pressured. Moreover, your cultivation has already surpassed mine. There's no need to be so polite," Lian Qin said. Jiang Hao's cultivation realm was rising too fast. She couldn't understand it. Only the top disciples progressed this fast. The ones ranking high were extraordinary. Lian Qin could understand why senior brother Bai Yi was so fearful. This person advanced too quickly. If everything went smoothly, he would soon be in the primordial spirit realm. How many years had it been? "You must be joking, senior sister." Jiang Hao shook his head. He would address her as a senior no matter what cultivation realm she was. She had always addressed her as a senior. He couldn't suddenly change now. If his junior asked him to address him as a senior after rising in the cultivation realm, he would do so. After all, it was a demonic sect. A higher cultivation realm meant a higher status. "Junior brother, if you need spirit herbs in the future, you can tell me. Our 100 Bones forest has many spirit herbs that need to be planted," said Lian Qin with a smile. Jiang Hao was kind of hard to understand. His cultivation realm rose rapidly, but there was no change in his attitude. Many people couldn't do that. After seeing her off, Jiang Hao appraised the spirit herb seed. Half a month later, around early November, he had divided the seeds into 3 categories. One batch could sprout in 4 months, another in 5 months, and the last batch would take 6 months. Each batch had almost 100 spirit herbs. The time it would take for them to germinate was different. However, these spirit herb seeds cost a lot of spirit stones. Even though senior sister Lian had given him enough, he still needed 50,000 spirit stones more. Will you offer him some useless spirit beasts? Or maybe some low-quality mines? Are you going to throw away this opportunity for your worthless pride? Shangguan King's words left everyone shaken. They didn't know what to say. "We can't ever disobey him," someone asked from the dark. Yes. We have to do what he tells us, said Shangguan Qingsu. What's the difference between that and acknowledging him as our master? Asked an old man. Well, you have three choices. 1. We become slaves. 2. We negotiate to live as a clan but obey his orders. 3. Live as we are with the curse, said Shangguan Qingsu. You don't want to endure the 100 Nights curse forever, but you are also unwilling to pay the price to get rid of it. Will you get another opportunity like this? Who do you think we are? You, the old man was furious. However, no one cared about him. If we agree to cooperate with him, can we still question his orders if they are unreasonable? Shangguan Qiqing asked. Yes. But he might not respond immediately, said Shangguan Qingsu. If we refuse him even once, does that mean our agreement will be over? Yes. I want 3 chances to refuse. We haven't even agreed, and you already want a loophole? After every 3 tasks, we will be given a choice to refuse. 10. Also, he has the right to end the cooperation if we refuse. All right. But I hope that he can have an open conversation with us before he refuses cooperation, said Shangguan Qiqing. We need to discuss everything before we agree to work together. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 955. Ascending to Immortality. Continue reading on. Shangguan Qingsu looked at the person seated above. She was not afraid. She had prepared for this for a very long time. To fulfill the conditions of Smiling Sanxing, she had tried her best. She stated the conditions for the Shangguan clan to get along with Smiling Sanxing. It was almost equivalent to death for them. Even if they survived, there was no hope for them. The Shangguan clan would definitely refuse the deal. But they had waited for this opportunity for countless years. If they missed it, it would be as good as death. She had to convince them somehow. At least, they would be free of the curse and could decide when to end the cooperation in the future. After some thought, the Shangguan clan agreed to Smiling Sanxing's terms. They had no other choice. Shangguan Qingsu had successfully completed her task. I wonder if Smiling Sanxing will be happy with this. Shangguan Qingsu was a little worried. She did her best, but if he wasn't happy with it, he would just turn around and leave. In the end, the Shangguan clan would still have to nod their heads and go along with him. She was waiting for Smiling Sanxing to come and tell her the details. It would be best if he was happy with the arrangement. If he wasn't, then it would be an entirely other problem, and the Shangguan clan would find out that they weren't as valuable as they thought they were. They had no other choice. Shangguan Qingsu returned to her house. She had placed the ring in the secret room. The magic treasure had been activated, but no matter what she did, he could not communicate with it. She had no choice but to wait. Shangguan Qingsu was a little anxious. She wasn't sure if Smiling Sanxing could see or hear her. If he didn't contact her, it might mean he didn't agree with the deal. She was a little worried. She sighed wearily and decided to wait a bit longer. In the south, Jiang Hao was taking care of the spirit herbs in the Heavenly Note sect. Although Shangguan Qingsu had already arrived overseas, her negotiation could take some time. His request had been excessive, to say the least. The Shangguan clan would try to negotiate the terms. In this process, they had to weigh the pros and cons. It would take a long time for the clan to settle this matter. Therefore, it might take a few months more to reach the end of the deal. However, he had to get there before the curse took effect. That way, they would see how useful he was and would have an easier time accepting his terms. The pain of the curse might remind them why the deal was worth agreeing to. Jiang Hao would have to be there before the end of April. The spirit herb seeds would start to bloom in 2 months, so there was still time. He planned to visit the Lawless Tower before heading overseas. The lantern-bearer knew about the Great Thousand God Sect's plan, so he wanted to see if anything more would happen. At the Lawless Tower, when Jiang Hao arrived, he discovered that they were preparing for something. "Junior brother Jiang, you didn't receive the news?" Insha smiled at him in confusion. "What?" Jiang Hao was puzzled. "The Astronomical Academy of the West has obtained a wordless heavenly book and has invited all the sects to check it out. Our sect is also among them. They are preparing to send someone over." "The Lawless Tower will also send someone," Insha said. "Wordless heavenly book?" Jiang Hao hadn't received any news like that. However, he suddenly thought of someone. Mangu, his wife and son were in the Astronomical Academy. "The people going there, will they all be seniors of the tower?" Jiang Hao asked. The list was drawn up by Sect Master Baiji. "There are all kinds of people on it. Speaking of which, Mangu is one of them. Although his cultivation realm is recovering, he is still a little weak. However, he is familiar with the West. He was from there originally, so he is being sent with the group," said Insha. Jiang Hao nodded. "He's from the Great Thousand God Sect," he said. "Will he be targeted?" Senior Sister Insha smiled but didn't say anything. She only said that it was confidential, and she couldn't say anything about it. Jiang Hao understood what she was saying. They were trying to use him as bait. It was expected of the Heavenly Note sect. He just didn't know if Mangu would be willing to do it. He saw that Mangu was busy. Mangu saw Jiang Hao and bowed gratefully. At that moment, he seemed to be more eager than ever. "It seems that he is finally happy," Jiang Hao thought. No one knew what the wordless heavenly book of the West was. Jiang Hao wouldn't go anyway. As for the details, he could wait for the sect to inform him or ask Zhang at the gathering. The people on the 5th floor were the same as always. There was Zhuang Yuzhen, Heavenly King Hai Luo, Mi Lingyue, the Lantern-Bearer, and Old Man Corpse C. Old Man Corpse C had recovered a lot, and he was curious about Jiang Hao. This was the person with the lowest cultivation realm among all the people he had seen who could enter and leave freely. Moreover, he was from the others. Everyone was very quiet. "Junior brother Jiang?" said the lantern-bearer. "Yes, it's me. How are you fitting in, senior?" Jiang Hao asked. "I'm used to it. I have to say that this place is really amazing." The lantern-bearer smiled. "Junior brother Jiang, did you come with a mission this time? Are you going to interrogate me?" "No." Jiang Hao shook his head. The sect had already caught the person related to Feng Hua, so they were not in a hurry to get more information. However, he wasn't sure where Bing Qing was. She seemed to have been sent to the mines. He could go and check it out later. After all, she had become friends with the spirit beast. "Have you been overseas recently? If you do, remember to stay away from the Dragon Cave," said the lantern-bearer. "The Great Thousand God Sect's plan includes many things. Those who know it might not be watching. The Great Thousand God Sect has been planning this for a long time, right?" Mi Lingyue asked. "Yes, and very few people know about it. It will be difficult for people to escape. After all, that is the real Dragon Cave. Many people are confident it'll work. Many people will enter the Dragon Cave even though it's a trap," said the lantern-bearer. "The Great Thousand God Sect doesn't fear other major powers fighting them?" Mi Lingyue asked. "It'll be a long time before people realize it's a trap. When there are benefits, people tend to betray each other. They might cooperate with that sect for the benefit. The Great Thousand God Sect is very smart. They will definitely find someone else to enter and become the center of attention. Maybe the end of all things. As long as the cave has something harmful to end all humanity, the end of all things will agree with them." Jiang Hao walked to Zhuang Yuzhen and handed him some wine and beef jerky. He had to be extremely careful if he went to the Dragon Cave. He hoped that he could advance before entering it. He would then be able to protect himself. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Fortunately, he could hide for 10 days. He only needed to wait for 10 days, and he could continue to use concealment talismans. The talisman senior sister Lung Tian gave him was really useful. He didn't really use the clone talisman. It had been a long time since he had seen senior sister Ling Tian. After a while, Jiang Hao arrived at the peak of the mountain. Shangguan Qingsu looked conflicted. She had been waiting. The people of the Shangguan clan were in a hurry and were pushing her to go through with it soon because the curse was about to manifest. "What are you thinking about?" A sudden voice interrupted her thoughts. She turned around and realized that someone was standing behind him. He looked calm with the fan in his hand, but his presence was still immense. It was powerful. It was strange. It was as if he had gotten stronger. How was this possible? It had only been 2 years since she last saw him. "Fellow disciple Smiling Sanxing?" Shangguan Qingsu asked. She was a little worried that this person might not be the same as the one she had met before. "That's me. Don't be too surprised," he said. "So? Done with the agreement?" It would be better if they didn't agree with him. He did not intend to do too much with the Shangguan clan. He just wanted to make use of them every once in a while. After that, they would part on good terms. He did not want them to do much for him. "It's done," said Shangguan Qingsu. She hesitated. "It's just that, it didn't go exactly as you wanted." Jiang Hao was secretly delighted. That was even better. Even if they just paid him some spirit stones, he would still help them. But he couldn't say it in the beginning. If he set the bar too low, they would think his help came cheap. He needed them to feel they had gained a lot by getting him to agree to help them. "Tell me what happened." Jiang Hao smiled. "The Shangguan clan has agreed to follow your orders, but they have a condition. They said they would agree to your orders 10 times, after that, they can refuse you once. At that time, you would also have the right to refuse to help the clan." Shangguan Qingsu lowered her head dejectedly. "I'm sorry for my incompetence. If you can wait a bit, I can go and negotiate with them again." Jiang Hao was a little surprised, but he remained calm. How was this possible? Agreeing to his terms would mean risking their lives for him. He had expected them to refuse entirely. "One more thing. To convince them, I told them that we could cancel this arrangement at any time. And if we agree, you have to be sincere about it too, senior," she said. Jiang Hao was silent. When they experienced the curse disappear, they wouldn't want to go back to how they were. So, they would follow him to keep the curse at bay anyway. "Go on," Jiang Hao said. He finally understood that the problem was that Shangguan Qingsu had used some trick. She was smart. It was a bit troublesome, but Jiang Hao had no intention of taking the whole clan in. "Let's go and meet your clan's leader," said Jiang Hao. After she told him the location, he disappeared on the spot. It was as if he had fused with the air. He was as bright as the sun. Shangguan Qingsu was certain that she was definitely not a match for the person in front of her. No one in the Shangguan clan could fight with him. How was that possible? No matter how talented a person was, they couldn't become so powerful in such a short time. From what she knew, Smiling Sanxing was supposed to be at the return to Void Realm. The Shangguan clan was also worried. Shangguan Qingsu was concerned about what all of this might lead to. Shangguan Qiqing, in contrast, was worried that this person would refuse to meet them. If that happened, they would have to lower their conditions to make him agree. Their clan really could not withstand the curse anymore. He was also concerned that the person might just be pulling their leg, and that he might not really have the ability to get rid of the curse. It sounded impossible. All these concerns made him restless. It was only when he heard that Shangguan Qingsu was coming to the hall with another person that he heaved a sigh of relief. He wanted to see if this person could really do what he promised. He thought that he had the upper hand while talking with the person. He would exert his dominance and talk to him with authority. However, the moment he saw the person who was as resplendent as the sun, he lost all confidence. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 957. Selection for Top Disciples. Continue reading on. In the main hall of the Shangguan clan, Jiang Hao stood in the center. The people around him didn't dare to sit down. Even Shangguan Qiqing only dared to stand in front of him and speak with his head lowered. Everyone was terrified of the person at the front. Jiang Hao remained calm. The people looked at him in admiration. "Fellow disciple, please take a seat." Shangguan Qiqing gestured to him. He let Jiang Hao sit at the top. Shangguan Qingsu was shocked. He didn't seem so smug anymore. It was the first time she had seen Shangguan Qiqing so humble, and she was filled with many emotions. When she was young, Shangguan Qiqing had been stubborn and intimidating. But, at that moment, he lowered his head and didn't dare to speak too loudly. People aged like that. It sometimes seemed like just an instant. Jiang Hao was posing as smiling Sanxing, so he obviously wasn't very polite. He walked to the top step by step, then turned around and sat down. "I've already stated my condition. Now tell me yours." "Of course I heard it. But I want you to say it again." He was fearless. Shangguan Qiqing broke out in a cold sweat. He was under a lot of pressure as a leader. He was the spokesperson, so he had to bear the burden. "Then, I will repeat myself," Shangguan Qiqing said carefully. "We agree to obey your orders, but we hope to have a chance to choose what to do after 10 tasks. But if you want anything else, we can discuss it. I hope you can understand." After that, Shangguan Qiqing stopped talking. Jiang Hao frowned. "Just that? I thought they wanted to say that they can end the deal whenever they want." Jiang Hao sighed inwardly. "Just like what you said before, we can cancel the cooperation at any time. Everyone will have a choice. Do you have further doubts?" Shangguan Qingsu sighed. She realized something. This could cancel the cooperation at any time, but that would be a loss for the Shangguan clan. The Shangguan clan would be giving up on an opportunity that was tied completely to this arrangement. Who would regret this cooperation? Only time would tell. "We want to test if you really have the ability to suppress the curse," Shangguan Qiqing said. This was what everyone cared about. If it didn't work, then everything was just empty promises. However, Shangguan Qiqing did not dare to make any elaborate requests. The other party had mentioned that they could end this cooperation at any time, which surprised him. But it made him a little worried. The more others looked down on his clan, the more he felt threatened. "How many days are left for it to manifest?" Jiang Hao asked. It was logical to ask for a test, and he wanted to show off. If not, how would he convince an entire clan to listen to him? However, he had to inform Gui about the situation and force Gu Chongxing to compromise. Suppressing Gu Chongxing was his main goal. "There are still 6 days left," Shangguan Qiqing said. Jiang Hao nodded. Then, a scroll flew out from his hand. "Find a hidden place and set up a formation according to the requirement. 10 of you can enter the formation to experience its effect. We can discuss further plans later. I'll be back on the 6th day. I hope you'll be ready then," Jiang Hao said after the other party had gotten the scroll. After he finished, he disappeared and left everyone astonished. Jiang Hao appeared in the courtyard and reverted to his original self. He heaved a sigh of relief. The Shangguan clan surprised him. At the same time, he knew how much damage the curse had done to their clan. All he had to do was wait for the right time. The array formation was easy to set up. Any idiot could set it up. As for where they would set it up, it was unknown. The Shangguan clan is not very strong. Their people are all on the decline. Jiang Hao had looked at them closely. There was no one who could ascend to immortality. It was like there was a ceiling they couldn't break. No one knew if they would really fight. After all, the Shangguan clan had a lot of resources. He had accepted a mission. He could go out as he pleased for the next 5 months. The main thing was that he had to go out continuously and was not sure if it would be safe. He was going to take a long time, but if he failed, he would have to pay 5,000 spirit stones. He would have to pay about 5,500 spirit stones for taking the job twice, so he took this job. 5 months was enough for him to fight Gu Chongsheng. After that, Jiang Hao began to wait. The spirit herb gardens still had 100 more spirit herbs to water. He couldn't stay outside for very long. As for the people heading west, they had already set off. Shaoli was going too, but when she heard that it was to read some book, she ran away. She took the spirit beast and went into hiding. Ching Chou felt helpless when he found out about this. He tried his best to help her, but junior sister Shaoli avoided him and everyone else. People were indeed different. However, he did not mind. After all, his luck was already good enough. When Ching Chou saw Jiang Hao coming to the spirit herb garden, he hurriedly went up and said, "Senior brother Jiang, the sect has released some news. What is it?" Jiang Hao was puzzled. The sect was still recuperating. If they kept fighting, the sect might face a crisis. "It's news about the top disciple," said Ching Chou. "The sect is thinking of selecting some disciples who are qualified to challenge the top disciples." Challenge the top disciples? Jiang Hao was surprised. Was the sect trying to provoke the 10 top disciples? They were trying to select people who were powerful enough to challenge them. In that way, only powerful people will be in the top positions. They would be stronger than ever. Before, anyone strong enough to challenge the top disciples could do it. However, now, there will be a screening process before they can challenge the top disciples. They would need to pass the pre-selection before they can challenge the top disciples. In short, it won't be as easy as before, Ching Chou said. Did they say when one can challenge the top disciples after the preliminaries? Jiang Hao asked. The elimination is held once every 50 years. Those who join later will have to wait for the next elimination. During the elimination period, the challenger can ask for a match every year to challenge the top disciple. Anyone can, said Ching Chou. Jiang Hao nodded. It was more systematic now, but the pressure on the top disciples had increased. What happens if the challenger loses? Jiang Hao asked curiously. 3 failures and you'll be kicked out of the qualifiers, Ching Chou said. Jiang Hao sighed. Every 50 years, he would have 3 chances in exchange for 1 elimination. Should he participate? I also heard that as long as you successfully become a top disciple, you will be received by the sect master. Ching Chou sighed. He had never seen the sect master before. Jiang Hao found it very strange. The sect master might be Elder Baiji. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 958. Meet the Sect Master. Continue reading on. There were many rules for selecting a top disciple. In short, there was a limit to the number of people who could participate in the preliminary selection. Even if the selection was over, the sect disciples who returned from the outside could challenge the person selected in the preliminary to replace them. There were also 3 chances to challenge the top disciple. However, the top disciple had to be free. Otherwise, they couldn't challenge them. I wonder if it's useful to avoid the fight entirely. If they couldn't avoid it, Would there be any top disciples left? Jiang Hao didn't know the details, but the qualifiers would start after a while. The elimination process was very simple. 2 people were chosen from each realm. It started from the Foundation Establishment realm. The slot was open for 8 Foundation Establishment realm cultivators, 8 Golden Core realm cultivators, 8 Primordial Spirit realm cultivators, and 8 Soul Ascension realm cultivators. If one failed to become the top disciple before reaching the Return to Void realm, they would not be qualified to compete for the position of top disciple in the future. Furthermore, if they suppressed their cultivation realm to compete, it would be even more difficult for them. Jiang Hao lowered his head and thought. I'm at the peak of the Gold Core realm. Even if I make it to the elimination round, I'll have to compete with 2 Primordial Spirit realm cultivators. And someone at the peak of the Golden Core realm could always be replaced. I feel like I will have to fight people very often. The pre-selection itself was very difficult, let alone the challenge with the top disciple. If one wanted to continue in the pre-selection and finally become a top disciple, one had to win every time. If the disciples in the sect don't participate this time, they will have to wait another 50 years. If the selection takes 2 years, then they will have to wait 52 years. Jiang Hao went to the law enforcement hall to see the new rules. There were also some fellow disciples who were discussing things there. It's fine if you participate. I just don't know what level junior brother Han can reach in 50 years. Han Ming might be in the late stage of the Golden Core realm at the moment. If he could get guidance from Kendo, he would soon reach the peak of that realm. Would 50 years be enough for him to advance to the peak of the Primordial Spirit realm? It should be enough. Junior brother Han Ming did have the potential to become a top disciple, but he also had all kinds of other opportunities and the Mountain River Sword embryo. He surpassed others at every level. Maybe Primordial Spirit Realm at 50 years old, Soul Ascension Realm at 100 years old, Return to Void Realm at 200 years old, and Immortal Ascension Platform at 350 years old. Actually, it might be faster than that, but it's also possible that once you're trapped in a certain realm, you might never be able to advance for the rest of your life. Sometimes people remained stuck at one stage and couldn't advance. Junior brother Jiang, are you considering the selection process to compete for the position of top disciple? Lu Xingchen walked over to him. Senior brother Lu. Jiang Hao bowed. Lu Xingchen was currently in the middle stage of the Soul Ascension realm. The turbid power was disappearing bit by bit. He was worthy of being the Clear Sky School's disciple. He was truly remarkable. Moreover, the 4 soul remnants on his body seemed to be converging and becoming stronger. He did not know if he knew about that. Jiang Hao appraised it. Lu Xingchen, disciple of the Heavenly Faction. He is in the middle stage of the Soul Ascension realm. Born with the aura of a dragon. He is undercover for the Law Enforcement Hall in the Heavenly Note sect. He was too bored, so he allowed 4 soul remnants to possess his body. With the help of the true dragon's power, the 4 remnants started becoming stronger. He is waiting for them to be strong enough to take over his body. Recently, he has seen you collect blood to follow the blood wish path. He is curious and wants to watch what you do. He hopes for a good show. Jiang Hao was speechless. As his cultivation realm increased, he lived an even quieter life. There was no good show to put on for Lu Xingchen. By the way, did you know that a Lifeblood Refinement Realm cultivator left the Cliff of Broken Hearts? Lu Xingchen asked. Weren't they just talking about the top disciples? What was this about a Lifeblood Refinement Realm cultivator? Jiang Hao was puzzled. I don't know, said Jiang Hao. I heard that particular person is under the surveillance of the Law Enforcement Hall. She is in charge of some seniors, and seems to be from the Great Thousand God sect. It doesn't make sense why she suddenly wanted to leave. She might come back. That's why they let her go. Some seniors followed her overseas. They sent news that it was actually someone from the Shangguan clan. They are still paying attention to it at the moment. Jiang Hao was speechless. These people were simply terrifying. Junior brother, do you have any idea what that could be about? Lu Xingchen narrowed his eyes. Jiang Hao shook his head. I feel that the seniors of the law enforcement hall are quite tired. Yes. We had to arrest people everywhere lately, Lu Xingchen said excitedly. That seemed to be true, and Lu Xingchen seemed to have quite enjoyed the show. But why was he keeping an eye on Shangguan Qingsu? It had nothing to do with him. Senior brother, are you going to participate in the preliminary round? Jiang Hao asked curiously. My cultivation realm is a little higher than the required realm, so I won't be participating. Lu Xingchen shook his head. He was already at the middle stage of the soul ascension realm, while the ones participating could only be at the early stage of the soul ascension realm. He was too strong to participate, and that would be fair. What about you, junior brother? Lu Xingchen asked. I want to try, Jiang Hao said. It is said that the selection will begin at the end of the year. They will start with each branch and then the entire sect. Disciples who enter the elimination round will receive additional resources, Lu Xingchen said. Jiang Hao nodded. The reason why he wanted to enter was to let others know how strong he was, but he didn't want to be a top disciple. The assumption about the blood wish path would continue. He wanted others to know that he was in a hurry to break through. The rest was up to junior brother Han Ming. If he became a top disciple, he would be constantly trying to protect his position. Besides, he could be replaced in the pre-selection round at any time. To make it to the pre-selection round or the position of a top disciple, there were 3 requirements. One had to be young, talented, and strongest among those of the same rank. After bidding farewell to Lu Xingchen, Jiang Hao returned to the Cliff of Broken Hearts. At that time, the registration had already begun. Senior brother Bai Yi brought his men to register. Jiang Hao walked over to them. Junior brother Jiang, you want to participate? Bai Yi asked Jiang Hao with a smile. Yes. Jiang Hao nodded. In the end, he did it. His goal was to become a top disciple. He didn't care about meeting the sect master though. The name written on the contract referred to someone as the Heavenly Note, which it was most likely that it was Elder Baiji. It was obvious that she was the sect master. As for when he would become a top disciple, that would depend on junior brother Han. 5 days later, on the eve of the Shangguan clan's curse, the entire clan was hesitating. Shangguan Qingsu occupied a spot in the formation, and so did Shangguan Qiqing. As a leader, he needed to be there. The others had a hard time choosing. Some people wanted to try, but others had their doubts. It was most likely a trap. As the moment approached, they retreated. In the end, only 5 people dared to try. Including Shangguan Qingsu and Shangguan Qiqing, there were a total of 7 people. The remaining 3 went to find others from the clan. They were all worried. However, they were willing to try it. Shangguan Qiqing stood in front of the array and waited. He was nervous. This would decide the fate of the Shangguan clan. Would it be a new life for them or another failed experiment? It remained to be seen. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 959. Start the war and attack Gu Chongxing. Continue reading on. It was getting late, and Shangguan Qingsu and the others hesitated. That was because Smiling San Xing had yet to appear. She didn't know if he was going to come. If he was just toying with them, what would she do? Who was Smiling San Xing really? He was moody, unpredictable, and did things as he pleased. He didn't like small talk. Therefore, if the Shangguan clan made him unhappy, he might call off the deal. Shangguan Qiqing and the others waited. Everyone had a lot on their minds. They didn't know what was waiting for them. They didn't have any other way to suppress their curses. Would this work? Or would they spend an eternity in pain? All kinds of questions filled their minds. As time went by, they became even more anxious. The golden ring glowed, and a voice said, "It seems like you all are ready." Shangguan Qingsu heaved a sigh of relief. It was smiling San Sheng. Jiang Hao descended from the sky and sighed. These people had not told him of the location, so he had taken some time to find it. He had almost missed it. Do they think him omnipotent? Jiang Hao sighed. They were all waiting for him here while he was helplessly wandering around looking for them. This was the backyard of the Shangguan clan. It was close to the mountains and the sea. The mountain peak was the core of the formation. The core was placed in a hidden place according to the requirements, and no one could spy on it. "Enter the array formation," Jiang Hao said as he walked straight to the core. "What do we need to do?" Shangguan Qiqing hurriedly asked. "You don't have to do anything," Jiang Hao said with a smile. Shangguan Qiqing was surprised. He couldn't believe that they only had to walk into the array. Didn't he need to use all his strength? In an instant, the 10 people found a place to sit cross-legged in the array and waited. He was both excited and nervous. He didn't even know what to do with his hands. The 3 young men looked left and right in confusion. At that moment, Jiang Hao was sitting cross-legged in the center. He took out the bead of blood pool and used the heavenly fate misfortune pearl to guide its flow. The blood pool's ability had reached its limit. Whether he could replace the heavenly fate misfortune pearl would depend on tonight's result. If this worked, he could just leave the bead behind and leave. But if it didn't work, then he would need the heavenly fate misfortune pearl. He needed to hold the pearl in his hand. If something went wrong, it would be disastrous. When the time came, Jiang Hao saw the light of the curse appear between the eyebrows of the 10 people, and it began to spread. However, the blood pool emitted a light that suppressed the curse. The blood pool and the curse seemed to be fighting. It was unlike the heavenly fate misfortune pearl. It forced the curse to retreat with crushing force. That was enough. At that moment, Shangguan Qiqing was gritting his teeth and preparing for the pain to spread. They all knew the pain was coming. The warmth between the brows lasted for a long time, but there was no pain. Only then did they realize that the curse wasn't affecting them. It seemed to be suppressed. For a moment, everyone was stunned. When dawn came, the curse dissipated entirely. They were astonished that the pain they had dealt with all this time was miraculously gone. They had suffered through the pain of the curse since their birth. But the pain was gone. Everyone was excited. Shangguan Qingsu felt strange. The suppression of the curse this time felt different from before. She didn't know if it was because there were too many people or because the clan didn't fully agree to his conditions. It might be the latter. But she couldn't say anything. "Do you feel it?" Jiang Hao got up and walked out of the formation. He looked at the 10 people. The curse had always been a confidential thing. They never talked about it with outsiders until now. Shangguan Qiqing looked at the person in front of him. He didn't know what to say for a moment. He wondered if it was just a coincidence and maybe the curse was gone naturally. But he didn't dare say that. "The next time the curse takes effect, should we do it for the entire clan?" Shangguan Qingsu asked. She wanted to make this happen as soon as possible. Once everyone agreed, it would be easier. "Sure." Jiang Hao nodded. "I remember that I agreed to do it for your entire clan anyway. You can move the thing I gave you," he said and looked at Shangguan Qingsu. She lowered her head and nodded. After that, they were not allowed to come up here again. If there was a problem, he would no longer help them. In addition, before the curse acted up again, everyone needed to be present for it to work. Jiang Hao opened his fan and smiled. "Well, meet again." The words, "unparalleled in the world," flashed on the fan before he disappeared. After that, Shangguan Qiqing and the others headed out. They saw their remaining clansmen in pain. They were exhausted. If a fight broke out, they would all be dead. Shangguan Qiqing clenched his fists and power burst out from his hands. He finally realized how exhilarating it was to have the power to do something like this. He ordered the array formation to be expanded to accommodate all people of the clan. In addition, he told them no one was allowed to go up to the peak of the mountain where the core of the formation was. Jiang Hao returned to his house and heaved a sigh of relief. He just had to wait for the next curse to begin. Next time, he would work with Gui. He needed to wait for the gathering. If there was no gathering, he would have to make a trip. After all, he was Jing's spokesperson, so Gui would believe him. But it would be better if there was a gathering soon. He didn't want to face Kendo while going to meet Gui. Jiang Hao shook his head. He had never gone to the mines after the first time. He felt a little anxious. He had no choice but to wait. If the gathering didn't happen, he would make that trip to meet Gui. The last batch of spirit herb seeds would germinate in the next few days. Then, he would look at the selection process for the top disciples. There might be a lot of people participating. It would begin at the end of this year. Before that, he had to speed up the collection of blood for the Blood Wish Path. He wanted to let people know that he was planning to participate. The trip to go outside the sect was also for him to improve himself. Jiang Hao waited patiently. Meanwhile, in the mines, Kendo frowned. The situation has changed. Baizhu was cultivating nearby. What is it? She had been here for a long time, and there had been no changes. She was naturally curious. She had asked about a lot of things but didn't get any more information that was valuable, except about the heavenly kings. Gu Chongqing seems to be in trouble. I can feel his emotions fluctuating, but it's not very serious. Kendo thought for a moment and said, but I can't understand why. He wasn't acting like this before. Baizhu pondered for a moment and recalled Jing. It might be because of him. It was about time. The next day, Jiang Hao received an alert for a gathering. If you find any errors, ads pop-up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 960. The Battle. Continue reading on. Around early May, at midnight, Jiang Hao felt the stone tablet vibrate. He entered the public area and took his seat. He did not expect the gathering to start so soon. This time, there was something he wanted to say. At the moment, there were still a few people at the gathering. Senior Dan Yuan sat at the top and said with a smile, "This gathering is called in accordance with Gui's request. You can still ask questions about your cultivation." This time, Zhang raised a question. It was a question about immortals, so Jiang Hao didn't understand much. Lu also asked, when ascending to immortality, there should be some strange phenomena. But if there's no phenomenon, will it have a big impact on the future? A phenomenon would occur when ascending to immortality? Jiang Hao was a little surprised. He really didn't know about this. He was also going to ascend to immortality, so the information might be useful to him too. No phenomenon? Dan Yuan smiled. It might be because of the state of mind. It's not easy to open the immortal path without causing a commotion. The issue is very easy to solve. Just look into your sea of consciousness and find the stairs. When Jiang Hao heard this, he thought about his condition. If there was a phenomenon, he wouldn't be able to advance in the sect. Immortal Ascension platform would cause a huge phenomenon, so he couldn't do it in the sect. Unknowingly, he was already so close to becoming an immortal. It felt like it was only yesterday that he was worrying about advancing further. No more questions? Then, it's my turn. Friend Jing, do you have something to say? Gui asked. Before Jiang Hao could answer, she said, "My companion has noticed that Gu Chongqing is in trouble, but it's not a big problem. I suspect Jing had something to do with it?" Jiang Hao was a little surprised. Kendo was truly impressive. He did not pretend to be mysterious. He nodded slightly and said, I made an attempt. The day the Shangguan clan's curse takes effect at the end of July is the time for a counterattack. Whether we can make the other party compromise depends on that day. All right, Gui said excitedly. After that, Gui asked Jiang Hao what she needed to do. Jiang Hao wasn't in a hurry. Instead, he decided to wait a little longer. Gui didn't mind. Do you have any news about the Saint Bandits? Gui asked. Although she knew that there was one in the north, she did not have accurate information. There might be one in the Dragon Cave, Lu said. Overseas? Gui was somewhat repulsed. She didn't want to go overseas now, and it was already too late. The Dragon Cave was about to open. If there is someone there, can you contact him? Gui asked. It's hard to say. I only heard some news that there might be the end of all things and the Saint Bandits in the Dragon Cave. The Great Thousand God Sect's plan includes them. Therefore, it's very difficult to avoid the traps of the Great Thousand God Sect, Lu said. How wide is the range of the Great Thousand God Sect's traps? Xing asked. It should be someone who is greedy. It is possible for them to enter. If they want to watch from the sidelines, they need to be far enough. In addition, it's best not to be greedy when you see something. Otherwise, you might fall into the trap, Lu said. Xing was a little surprised. Then, he looked at Gui. I found the book you wanted. I'll take it with me when I leave and give it to you later. Gui heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed like she really didn't need to go overseas. Indeed, the problem overseas wasn't that it was dangerous, but danger followed her wherever she went. Also, wherever Jing went, there was a certain danger. Maybe danger followed because she always met Jing wherever she went. Gui felt much better. Maybe the jinx was someone else and not her. It had nothing to do with her. She was the #1 genius of the imperial family. Right. There should be dragons in the Dragon Cave that can communicate. Of course, it's just a possibility. Lu looked at Zhang. Overseas. Zhang didn't say anything else. It seemed impossible to get there on time. Are those two still in the academy? Jiang Hao asked Zhang. Yes. Zhang nodded. Maybe someone will visit them in the next year or two, Jiang Hao said. Because of the wordless heavenly book? Zhang asked. As for who would come, it was obvious. Wordless heavenly book? Gui asked curiously. Recently, the Astronomical Academy obtained a book from somewhere. It has no words or aura, but it has the light of the stars. The Academy suspects that there were words in this book, but ordinary people can't see them. In order not to waste the knowledge, we invited many sects to come and study it, Zhang said. Zhang, are you free? Xing immediately asked. Yes. Zhang nodded. I would like to ask Zhang to use a special method to send a message, Xing said. Jiang Hao understood what the other party wanted to do. It was probably to send a message to the one with the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment. He wanted her to take a look at the wordless heavenly book. Others might not be able to read it, but the one with the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment definitely might be able to. Zhang agreed. Her request was to verify the wordless heavenly book. If there really were words in it, she hoped that someone could tell her what it said. Do any of you want to enter the Dragon Cave? Senior Dan Yuan suddenly asked. The question surprised the others. Who would enter it when they knew it was a trap? Was there anyone here who was that confident? For a moment, everyone looked at Jing. Why are you looking at me? Why do you all think I want to go? Jiang Hao felt helpless. Maybe, he said after a moment of hesitation. Hong Yuya wanted to enter the cave too, so he had no choice. Everyone sighed. Friend Jing, if you have any news about the true Dragon Clan, you can tell me, Dan Yuan said. Jiang Hao nodded. However, he wanted to go there for the true dragon. Friend Jing, if you see a true dragon, please tell me. Please help me find out if the true Dragon Clan has a special spell technique to suppress memories, Zhang said. All right. Jiang Hao nodded. The gathering ended. Yan Yuezhi woke up from her deep sleep. She looked at the moonlight outside and took out a piece of paper from the desk. She wrote something on it. After a while, she stopped writing, folded the paper, and scribbled a rune on it. In the blink of an eye, the paper turned into a talisman. It burned and a wisp of green smoke soared into the sky. No one knew where it went. After that, she went out to the courtyard and gazed at the moonlight outside. He seemed to be missing something. After becoming an immortal, she could not control her mind wandering. She recalled the days when she was young. Time passed quickly, and the moonlight was soon replaced by the morning glow. She walked out step by step. She arrived at the logistics department. At that moment, a woman was busy working. She did not look unhappy. Instead, her eyes were filled with hope. This place gave her a great sense of security. Master. The other party bowed respectfully when she saw Yan Yuezhi. You shouldn't call me that. I'm still a student here, said Yan Yuezhi calmly. To me, you are my master, the woman said seriously. Yan Yuezhi did not mind. Someone will come to visit you in the next year or two, she said. The woman was stunned. At first, she didn't quite understand, but she soon understood. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 961. It's interesting to see you struggle. Continue reading on Cultivation +1 Lifeblood +1 Strength +1 Jiang Hao stood in the spirit herb garden and looked at the last batch of high-grade spirit herbs and let out a sigh of relief. The 300 superior-grade spirit herbs that Bai Yi had given him had all germinated. Now that he was no longer bound by this matter, he could go out of the sect. He had prepared for it. He just needed to be at his peak. He was waiting to fight Gu Chongqing at the end of July. If the two sides surrounded each other, the other party might do something more. If they were not careful, it would be dangerous. He needed to be careful. Junior brother Jiang, you planted a superior-grade spirit herb again? Miao Tinglian asked. Jiang Hao sighed inwardly. Senior sister Miao usually didn't stay to talk with him. She had arrived suddenly, so he felt that something was wrong. Good morning, senior sister Miao, Jiang Hao said politely. Junior brother Jiang, you're too polite. There's no need to be so formal. Miao Tinglian smiled. These few days, I went to visit other branches with Mu Qi. He found some great candidates. Hey, junior brother Jiang, where are you going? Don't go. Jiang Hao was no longer polite. He just ignored her and walked away. He had been too embarrassed to walk away before, but he decided to risk it. However, she was not discouraged. He did not know when she would be able to give up on matchmaking. He wished senior sister Miao could focus on herself more than this. There were still some Heavenly Saint sect members in the sect who were planning something. They would definitely target them. She couldn't even protect herself, yet she still had time to find a companion for him. He didn't know what to do about senior sister Miao. The fallen immortal clan was trying to make the immortal seed bloom. The Heavenly Saint sect and Heavenly Spirit tribe might be supporting them. The higher-ups of both sides would definitely do more. They might all know about the divine item. Xing's mission was not easy to complete. The Holy Master's divine soul might still be useful. He hoped that he wouldn't bump into them when he went to the Heavenly Spirit tribe. Jiang Hao went as far away from Miao Tinglian as possible. She was disappointed. Junior brother Jiang's cultivation realm is too high. He's already ignoring me. No, I have to advance. Miao Tinglian sighed and was about to cultivate and advance. She was not far from reaching the primordial spirit realm. In 1 or 2 years, Jiang Hao would be beyond her realm. What are you thinking about, senior sister Miao? Asked a woman with a smile. Her eyes were so clear that people could not help but stare at her. Junior sister Ming Yi? She didn't really know this person very well. Senior sister Miao, you know my name? Ming Yi smiled. Senior sister, you seem very familiar with junior brother Jiang. He is truly extraordinary. He was only at the Foundation establishment realm when I first met him. In the blink of an eye, he made it to the Golden Core realm. His cultivation realm is even higher than mine now. She sighed with emotion. A person who was weaker than her had suddenly surpassed her. That's because of the blood wish path, Miao Tinglian said with a smile. Many people thought that Jiang Hao cultivated the blood wish path. Miao Tinglian didn't think that was true, but she felt that it was better to let others think so. There was no need to explain anything. Of course, those who paid close attention to it would be suspicious about it. But it didn't matter. Really? Ming Yi smiled. I heard that people from Heavenly Saints sect have been wandering around the Cliff of Broken Hearts. Who are they here for? I don't know. My cultivation is so weak, so I don't understand many things. Do you know, junior sister Ming Yi? Miao Tinglian was flustered. I have to be careful. My husband sometimes goes on missions, and nobody's there by my side. Oh, right. Are you married, junior sister? Do you want me to introduce you to someone? Ming Yi looked at the person in front of her in astonishment. She wondered why Miao Tinglian was asking her such a question. As a cultivator, everyone wanted to become an immortal and live a long life. Most of the time, romantic partners only got in the way. How could such a person cultivate so quickly and be able to freely walk around the sect despite going through so many things? The people from Heavenly Saints sect were all watching her. Was she not afraid? I don't really want a partner right now, said Ming Yi. Oh, then forget it. Miao Tinglian was disappointed. Then, I won't disturb you, junior sister. She turned around and left. Senior sister? Ming Yi called out to her. How did you manage to avoid that person's gaze? Ah? What did you say, junior sister? Miao Tinglian asked. It's nothing. Ming Yi shook her head. After that, Miao Tinglian turned around and left. Just as she turned around, her smile disappeared. Is she someone like me? She thought to herself. However, she couldn't say that aloud. She didn't care if she was targeted or not. It wasn't like they were familiar with each other. The other party's life and death had nothing to do with her. I'm so bored. I'm going to find my husband. Miao Tinglian left happily. Under the mines, Qiao Yi's cultivation had already broken through to the peak of the primordial spirit realm. It would be slower after that. The heavenly spirit tribe's heaven-bestowed cultivation technique? Kendo was surprised. And it's not just one. Do you have 2 other auxiliary techniques? Qiao Yi nodded. She had been shocked when she received them too. The princess had actually found 3 of the 4 heaven-bestowed cultivation techniques of the heavenly spirit tribe for her. It seemed like she still had to find the 4th one. She did not know how powerful the princess was, but she could tell that the princess alone had surpassed the entire imperial family. That was definitely not something that the imperial family could achieve. 1 as the main, 2 as support. However, don't cultivate the 4th rashly. Without a balanced method, you will be doomed forever, Kendo said kindly. Since he had nothing to do, he would teach them as much as he could. Senior, do you know where to find the art of balance? Baizhu asked. I don't know, Kendo said. Senior, I've been asking a lot of questions lately, but you haven't given me any straight answers, said Baizhu. Yes, I'm doing it on purpose. Kendo nodded. Why? Baizhu was startled. It's quite amusing to see you suffer, Kendo said with a smile. Baizhu was speechless. Qiao Yi didn't say anything. This senior was unpredictable. The princess could ask questions and talk as she pleased because she was quite powerful. She naturally couldn't. Tell me, what news do you have? Kendo asked. Senior, we can launch an attack at the end of July. At that time, there would be people who could help. The other party will be in great trouble. Whether or not we can suppress him will depend on you, Senior. It's not a problem. I just don't know if they can do it. If they can't block Gu Changsheng's escape route, it'll be useless no matter what I do, Kendo said. Well, if that doesn't work, then there's probably no other way, Baizhu said. However, she felt that it was not a problem. We have to inform the Heavenly Note sect before we act. Perhaps it will affect the outside world again, Kendo said. 2 months passed in a flash, and it was already late July. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 962. Dare to be the first in the world. And the second floor of the wooden house, Jiang Hao was sitting at his desk and making talismans. Beads of sweat appeared on his forehead. He seemed a little tired. He only heaved a sigh of relief when the talisman flickered with a faint light. Then, he put down the brush. He picked up a Return to Void Realm clone talisman. In the past few months, he had been making clone talismans whenever he was free. He was creating a clone of power at the Return to Void Realm or above, so the success rate was not very high. In the beginning, he only made 2 out of 10. After spending 60,000 spirit stones to buy the materials, he had finally improved. He had more than 400 clone talismans with him. Including the previous ones, there were a total of 568. He was left with 150,000 spirit stones. 2 months ago, Hong Yuye came by. To be on the safe side, he asked her about the Shangguan clan. Hong Yuye gave a strange answer. She said that if the entire clan were together, the curse would be unprecedentedly strong. Perhaps the power on the other side could interfere with the array. He had to have enough suppressive power, or else it would be easy for problems to occur. Jiang Hao fell silent. He didn't have enough power, so he could only use the clone talisman. He hoped that he would not need to use it. If he needed it, he didn't know if it would be of much use. He naturally knew his own strength. However, the suppressive power of it was still effective. He imbued the talismans with purple energy. When he used it, he would be able to channel the primordial spirit energy properly. I hope nothing goes wrong. If he failed, he wouldn't be able to stop Gu Changsheng, and Gue would fail too. Jing had to protect the image he had created. Although the others wouldn't say anything if he failed, Gu Changsheng wouldn't be so forgiving. And the mysterious personality of Jing would disappear too. There would definitely be some trouble in the future. It was tiring to maintain the image he had created. However, this was a necessary thing to do. Jiang Hao walked to his balcony and looked into the distance. He took a deep breath. There are still 3 days left. I have to maintain my peak condition. He was very tired. He had been waiting since the end of the gathering. He didn't care much about other things. The Shangguan clan's matter was his priority. He continued with his explanation of cultivation in the garden. The Foundation establishment realm cultivators of the other branches had all come in order to listen to his explanation. Everyone knew the rules. If they gained anything from him, they would leave behind a portion of blood. It was all voluntary. No one forced anyone. No one even cared if they left the scene after obtaining the benefit. There were many people like that. However, they were unable to enter the Cliff of Broken Hearts after that. They were banished by senior brother Mu Qi. How dare people from other branches come here and be impudent? Jiang Hao didn't care. He had his own goal, but it was not bad to have his seniors help him. At the very least, it was for spreading his notorious Blood Wish Path reputation. If they weren't willing to pay, they weren't qualified to listen to his lectures. This kind of thing happened in the sect. Some people thought that he was about to die, and some people thought that he wanted to refine his golden core realm to its peak so that he could compete for the position of top disciple. More and more people were discussing him behind his back, while others looked down on him. The Blood Wish Path was not very popular, but Jiang Hao was happy with the assumption. He sighed as he looked at the peach tree in the courtyard. In fact, he had long since stopped thinking about the last incarnation. So far, he did not have the resources to make it undergo the last incarnation. 1,000,000 spirit stones were one thing, but there were two other conditions it needed to meet. He had no choice but to wait. After waiting for 3 days, Jiang Hao's condition reached its peak. He looked at the peach tree again, but there was still nothing there. It seemed that he had to rely on himself this time. After using the Heavenly Secret's hidden talisman, Jiang Hao transformed into Smiling San Xing and disappeared. Smiling San Xing was never afraid of strong enemies. If others were strong, he would only be stronger. He was fearless. There was no other way to be. Under the minds of the Heavenly Note sect, Bai Zhu was getting nervous. Tonight was the day of the decisive battle. "Senior, are you ready?" she asked. "Of course, you guys have to be careful. I'm going to see if I can get Gu Chongxing to talk." "The Heavenly Note sect has been informed, right?" Kendo asked. "Yes, I did inform them." Bai Zhu nodded. "All right, I'll try it now," Kendo said. Then, he closed his eyes and began to pry into the existence behind the giant tree. It was like walking in the void. He transmitted his divine sense with his sword's intent. "Let me give you a piece of advice. It's not too late to reach an agreement." It was like a stone sinking into the ocean. "Didn't you get into trouble before? Perhaps you will think that it is a small problem, but you will soon find that it will completely crush you. Tonight is the day your power spreads. Aren't you worried? You must know that the trouble last time was just an appetizer." Kendo waited. This time, he didn't throw a stone into the ocean of void. "You're very strong, but not strong enough. No matter how much you do, you'll just be a clown." The other party finally responded. "Senior, I like what you said very much because you will soon face my sword." "How do you compare to the sword god from back then?" "I'm a bit inferior to him. Back then, the sword god and I had a 50-50 chance of winning against each other. How can you compete with me?" "I admit I'm not very confident. But my sword isn't afraid of strong enemies. Too much is as bad as not being strong enough. If something is too hard, it'll break easily." "Senior, you must be joking. There are only small paths in the Tao. I want to cut down the great Tao of heaven and earth. There is no restriction on the Tao of heaven and earth. I dare to be the first in the world and the first in the Tao of the sword to have done it." The other party was silent for a long time. Then, he said, "You're more arrogant than the sword god, but you still haven't given me anything that'll make me negotiate with you. Everything is still under my control." Kendo smiled and retreated. He began to wait and readied the sword in his hand. He couldn't wait any longer. At the 100 Flowers Lake, the red and white figure stood by the lake and looked into the distance. No one knew what was on her mind. "Sect Master." Baiji appeared by the lake and bowed her head respectfully. "Is something going to happen to the mine?" Hong Yuye asked. "Yes, there might be some changes tonight. We've already started to deal with it with all our strength. Although the other party said that there won't be any problems, we still need to be careful," Baiji said. Everyone knew that he was the first person to compete in the way of the sword. If the battle between the two sides began, it would be fatal for the Heavenly Note sect. However, they weren't displeased. They were more than happy to have such an expert take action to resolve the hidden danger. After all, the tree was in the Heavenly Note sect, and it would definitely bring great trouble to the Heavenly Note sect in the future. "Has the selection for the top disciples already begun?" Hong Yuye didn't ask much about Kendo. "Yes, it has already begun. Many people will be participating." Baiji thought for a moment. "Jiang Hao is also participating. He seems to be interested in competing for the position of the top disciple. With his strength, there should be no problem at all. Right now, he is constantly explaining cultivation issues to Foundation establishment and lifeblood refinement realm cultivators. Everyone thinks he practices the blood wish path. Presumably, he uses it to become stronger or to pave the way for a breakthrough. There is a high chance that it has something to do with the person behind him. Jiang Hao becoming a top disciple might be beneficial to the person behind him. Perhaps it would be better to find out who is behind him to find out what they plan. Is that so? Hong Yuye said calmly. Then, let's see what happens next. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 963. Unparalleled in the world, Smiling Sand Xing 1. In the backyard of the Shangguan clan, the waves crashed against the edge of the mountain peak, and the wind blew through the forest. Jiang Hao stood at the center of the mountain peak and looked down. At that moment, the array formation had already expanded. At the foot of the mountain, there was a crowd of people. Shangguan Qiqing stood at the forefront. "Greetings, disciple Smiling Sanxing," he said when he saw Jiang Hao. The others followed suit. Although they didn't know who the person at the top was, the clan said that they were going to fight against the curse this time. This person must be related to the curse. Even if it had nothing to do with the curse, he was not someone they could offend. After all, the clan leader was so respectful toward that person, which was enough to explain how important he was. Under the moonlight, Jiang Hao looked down from above. The people of the Shangguan clan all staring at him put him under a lot of pressure. Even if these people's combat strength was inferior to his, they weren't ordinary people. Then, he released his power and checked the array formation. After confirming that there was no mistake, he smiled. All we need to do now is wait. Tonight will be the night for a new start to your lives. As soon as he finished speaking, he turned around and entered the core of the formation. There was a room there. Outsiders did not know what was going on inside. Jiang Hao could feel that the people below were a little nervous. He was also very nervous. This was the first time he had encountered such a thing. The fate of this clan was in his hands. Unknowingly, he had already become so strong. Unfortunately, there were many powerful people in this world. He could not be arrogant. He needed to continue waiting. The longer he waited, the stronger he would be. His future was still promising. Jiang Hao calmed down. He hadn't taken out the heavenly fate misfortune pearl yet. He wanted to sense the emotions and movements of the people below. He felt confusion, helplessness, and excitement from them. Today was the day of the curse's outbreak. Some people still didn't understand why this was happening. How could it be useful? Some were against it, especially the women. The pain made them miserable, and they didn't want others to see them like that. Jiang Hao could feel the sadness and desolation of the clan. However, he was helpless. This was how it was supposed to be. What surprised him was that there were many young children in the crowd, who were swaddled in their mother's arms. All these people were tormented by the curse. The human world is suffering. Whether ordinary people or cultivators, they all struggled. Jiang Hao shook his head. He didn't think too much about it. Time passed by. Some felt like it had been a year, while others passed by in a flash. Jiang Hao opened his eyes when he sensed the power of the curse spreading. It's starting. It was midnight. The curse began to spread. He didn't know if it was because of the curse gathering, but he could feel that the curse was much stronger this time. Shangguan Qingsu also noticed that this curse was different from the past. It was similar to what she had experienced in the Heavenly Note sect. However, it was a little strange. It was as if the curse knew that their race was going to fight and began a counterattack. For a moment she was excited, but she was also worried that Smiling Sanxing would fail. Shangguan Qiqing was even more worried. She felt the anger of the curse. If they failed, they would have to face the worst of the curse. A scorching heat appeared between their brows, and then it began to extend at a speed that they had never encountered before. In an instant they panicked, as if their lives might end here. Some even screamed in fear. There was worry, fear, and despair on everyone's faces. However, just as they thought that the curse was about to erupt, a red light suddenly appeared in the array. Then, the curse retreated at a speed visible to the naked eye. Those people who were screaming were at a loss. They didn't know what had happened. What had happened to the curse? Shangguan Qingsu took a deep breath. The situation was completely different from before. It was as if it was about to explode. She thought that even if the curse could be suppressed, it would be painful. Unexpectedly, it was gone in an instant. Just like many times before, this person had helped get rid of the curse. This proved that he was indeed able to get rid of the curse. However, because they did not fully agree to the conditions, he only used a portion of his power. Shangguan Qiqing felt the difference. He did not regret his choice. As long as he could suppress it, it was enough. As for the others, they were surprised and delighted. They were still in a daze. Everything happened too suddenly. Jiang Hao sat cross-legged on the ground with a frown. When he was suppressing the curse, he felt a wave of pressure. A cursed passage was forming under the array, and something could erupt at any time. At that moment, Jiang Hao knew that something unexpected was about to happen. He took out the Earth Extreme Silent Pearl, the Heavenly Blade, and the Immortal Mountain Sea Shield. The 9 Heavens battle armor appeared around him. He was facing a strong enemy, so he had to go all out. He just didn't know when the other party would make a move. However, he could vaguely sense something in the cursed passage. It was like a sword's intent. In the Heavenly Note sect, Baiji and the others were guarding the mines. Everyone had been evacuated. Ku Wuchang and the others followed behind Baiji. They all knew that something was going to happen tonight. At that moment, Kendo laughed. I finally feel like I've found something important. It seems like your path of retreat has been blocked. From the very beginning, Kendo hadn't felt like they were facing a real opponent. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 964. Unparalleled in the world, smiling San Sheng too, they had no choice but to participate in this war. However, things were different now. Kendo could sense it. At that moment, he stood up and walked toward the center of the conflict with his sword in hand. His swords will burst out and pierce the darkness. At that moment they heard a sigh. Immediately after, a figure walked out of the void and faced Kendo's sword intent. Why bother? Why did you have to take out your sword? Gu Chongqing sighed. Kendo looked ahead and said softly, Senior, it's very kind of you to worry about me. At that moment 2 auras instantly surged. Boom! The 2 of them attacked at the same time. The explosion of the power shook the surroundings, and the void shattered. Baizhu sensed the power outside and took Xiao Yi with her to escape. At that time, the mines began to shake. Baizhi led her men to suppress the surroundings. The sword's will and the power of the curse intersected. The void shook and the great Tao evaporated. The sword's intent broke through the curse, and the curse was like a tidal wave that surged violently. The fight lasted for a long time. The bright sword essence began to disintegrate under the huge waves. It became dim. No matter how much power the sword's intent released, it was unable to break through the sky-like curse wave. The black figure stood on the waves and shook his head. Your sword's will is just so. It's far inferior to the sword god. As soon as he finished speaking, he reached out and pressed down. The last of the sword's light disappeared. Just as he was about to leave, a voice suddenly came from under the curse wave. Senior, it's too early to be so emotional. The black shadow stopped and looked down at the huge wave. At that moment, he found a figure standing amidst the curse. He held a long sword and there was no sword light around him. His sword was like scrap metal. However, it was not affected by the curse. The black shadow was puzzled. Kendo looked up at the figure on the huge wave. He waved the sword in his hand. Like I said, my sword can split waves. Boom. The cursed wave was split apart by the sword. There was no sword light, but there was biting cold air. At that moment, Kendo walked out of the gap in the giant wave. He waved the long sword in his hand again. My sword can suppress the sea. The swords will surged and the endless waves shattered. The sword lit up and moved along with it. My sword can cut through the great Tao of heaven and earth. In an instant, the world was filled with endless swords intent. At that moment, Kendo walked up to the black shadow and tried to compete with him. At the same time, his sword's intent broke through the void. His voice came from the void. My sword can make the Tao of the sword erupt. Boom. The curse shattered in front of the endless sword's will, and the void flickered. Boundless Tao techniques and curses were shattered under Kendo's feet. A man and a sword pierced through the void. The black shadow retreated. He looked at the person in front of him and frowned. They just stood there quietly. The two of them clashed again. At that moment, a sword light from the heavenly note sect shot into the clouds. Baiji and the others were shocked. However, he didn't dare to approach them. Everyone just waited quietly and took some precautions. They retreated. The Shangguan clan overseas were still in shock. They clearly wanted to ask about what had happened, but they had no choice but to keep their mouths shut. Shangguan Qiqing waited quietly. He felt that today was not an ordinary day. At that moment, Jiang Hao sat cross-legged in the center and paid close attention to the formation. The cursed passage had really taken shape. Although it was very small, there might be power flowing out from it. Even if it was only a very weak force, it could not be underestimated. However, he sensed the sword's will. It seemed that the sword's will had started a fight with Gu Changsheng. If Kendo loses, we might be fine here. But if they are evenly matched, Gu Changsheng will have no choice but to come here. While Jiang Hao was thinking, a sword's intent suddenly rushed toward him. Jiang Hao was shocked, but he didn't panic. He grabbed the Earth Extreme Silent Pearl and tried to suppress the space. Boom! The explosion came suddenly, followed by the shaking of the mountain. The people of the Shangguan clan were a little confused. Immediately after, black energy began to appear between their brows. At that moment, they were terrified. They knew that the curse had changed. Some people complained. I told you not to believe in it. It's over. I feel something crawling up my body. I don't want to participate anymore. Let me go. Many complained, and some people even wanted to leave the array. Shangguan Qiqing was afraid, but he still intimidated everyone. If you dare to take a step out of the array, you will be branded a traitor. A powerful force and the surrounding array formation were aimed at everyone. Betraying the clan meant death. Only then did everyone slowly calm down, but the black gas continued to spread. The sword's intent struck the space and broke the restraints. The black gas spread wildly. Jiang Hao stood up. The two pearls in his hands were suppressing the surrounding area, but the sword's intent was too powerful. Gu Changxing used Kendo's sword's will and turned it around. Impressive. If Kendo was not his match, then there was no need to make use of him. The sword's intent was not afraid of the suppression of the heavenly fate misfortune pearl, so it was helping the other party release its power. Jiang Hao didn't panic when he saw the black gas of the curse spreading. He stared at the formation and realized that the other party was also using the important parts of the formation to try to control the outside world. Soon, black gas began to surge crazily. Some of the people of the Shangguan clan cried out in fear. Everyone was gathered here, including ordinary people. It was inevitable that some of them would panic. Shangguan Qiqing felt black water flowing out from between his eyebrows. He looked at the core in horror. Fellow disciple, please save us. All right, Jiang Hao said from above. At that moment, he found the source. He could try to stop it. Everyone looked at him. They did not understand how he could save them. Jiang Hao waved the folding fan in his hand, and many talismans flew up. Purple energy appeared around him. The black gas had already condensed into a figure, and its outline was vaguely discernible. Go away. Jiang Hao looked at the other party and waved his folding fan. In an instant, the talisman flew out and immediately turned into his figure. Each talisman was a clone. Each clone landed in a special spot. Purple energy appeared in the clone. For a moment, the Shangguan clan saw the purple energy descend from the sky and pierce into the cursed black energy. The powerful strength and the vast purple energy shocked them. At that moment, each clone formed a seal with their hands. The mountain and sea seal appeared and was shot into the array. In an instant, the purple energy and the black energy clashed. Boom! Both sides were evenly matched. At that moment, the sword's intent seemed to have sensed something and quickly dissipated. Without the support of the sword's intent, the black gas was powerless. After being suppressed by the purple energy, he could not move anymore. For a moment they had an overwhelming advantage. The black gas was dissipating. The heavenly blade swung down. Although he looked calm, he was stressed. In front of him, the black shadow looked at him, and then a weak voice said, "Who are you? How is it that you are able to hold an extremely dangerous object and still have the strength to suppress me?" Jiang Hao's lips curled up in a smile. The folding fan in his hand opened with a whoosh, and the words, "unparalleled in the world," appeared. His laughter could pierce through everything. Unparalleled in the world. I'm smiling Sanxing. Smiling Sanxing? Kendo was a little surprised. He just realized that he had been used, so he withdrew his sword's intent at once. At the same time, he noticed the battle on the other side. He didn't know what exactly happened, but he heard something. Gu Changxing was defeated, and the person who subdued him was holding an extremely dangerous object. He was curious. He thought that the other party would hide his identity, but he had mentioned his name without a care in the world. He couldn't help but laugh. There was indeed no shortage of geniuses in this world. Then, he retreated from the void. Everything was over. Gu Changxing had no way out. He could either stay inside forever or compromise. Experts rarely acted on impulse, so the result was self-evident. The next morning, the Shangguan clan welcomed the rising sun unscathed. This time, what they saw was not just pure sunlight. It was their future. It was a new dawn. 3 days after Jiang Hao returned to his courtyard, the mines returned to normal. On the same day, Elder Baiji saw the honored guests out of the sect. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 966. Immense Power. Jiang Hao sat cross-legged and listened to Gui's question. She was asking about the spiritual technique, Mountain Sea Insight. It was a potent spiritual technique that could raise the upper limit of the primordial spirit. Gu Changxing must have given it to her. He had also told her about the best way to cultivate, but Gui was unsure if his words were trustworthy. She had asked for the gathering to ask Senior Dan Yuan's advice. Other than her, no one else had any other questions. Senior Dan Yuan only had one mission, and that was to obtain information about the Dragon Pearl. It wasn't any ordinary information. He wanted the whereabouts of the Dragon Clan and their current conditions. This information could probably only be found out after entering the Dragon Cave. Without any more missions, they proceeded to the trading phase. I still need to find the Saint Bandits, Gui said. If there are some things you want to know about the West, you can try asking me. Gu Changxing had agreed to Gui's arrangement, so she was all right now. Gui could do many other things. Zhang thought for a moment and said, Can someone help me find out if there are any dragons in the west? All right. Gui nodded. I lack things. Do you have any spatial treasures? As long as you can break the array and send some news, I'll hear it. I do, but the number of times it can be used is limited, Xing said. That's all right. What should I do? Lu nodded and asked. Please help me persuade the Heavenly Spirit tribe. If the price is too high, I can pay you other rewards, Xing said. Lu agreed. Jiang Hao knew that Xing was about to start his mission. Sure enough, Xing looked at him. Are you going overseas, fellow disciple? Yes. I still need a few more months. All right. Jiang Hao didn't say anything more. Suppressing the fallen immortal clan wasn't that easy. The Heavenly Spirit tribe, Heavenly Saint sect, and the fallen immortal clan would all interfere with his plan. Maybe even the Heavenly Spirit tribe did not know where the divine item was. If they knew, they would not have given Xing the chance. Although the Heavenly Spirit tribe had declined cooperation, they didn't know what the Shangguan clan was up to. They were still strong. There was no way for the Shangguan clan to get stronger without him. Shangguan Qingsu was very strong, but she was stuck at the early stage of the Immortal Ascension platform. After the trading phase, they talked about recent developments. Zhang was the first to speak. The one with the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment has already gone to the Astronomical Academy. She might really be able to comprehend the wordless heavenly book. What is her cultivation realm? Gui immediately asked. The others were also listening. For such an existence, the speed of her advancement was something astonishing. If I'm not wrong, it should be the early stage of the Soul Ascension realm, Zhang said. Baizhu gaped. Wasn't that too fast? Before they parted ways, there was still quite a distance for her to reach the Soul Ascension realm. It didn't make sense that she had advanced so fast. That's faster than expected. The one with the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment is truly impressive. Lu couldn't help but sigh. Truly impressive. Xing was shocked. Although everyone knew that kind of advancement was very fast, it was hard to understand why it was. How could someone advance to the Soul Ascension realm even before their 30s? They couldn't believe it. When is she going to read the book? Gui asked. Not yet anyway. We have to wait for the other sects to arrive and do it together, Zhang said. The Dragon Cave is about to open. It should happen within these 2 months, said Lu. Jiang Hao lowered his head. It seemed that he would have to accept another mission from the task hall in the next 2 months. Another sum of spirit stones just gone. If this continued, his spirit stones would drop by 100,000. It seemed that he had to go overseas soon and sell some of his treasures. They might fetch him a lot of spirit stones. Previously, the people of the fallen immortal clan had given him a lot of treasures. There were some things he had yet to sort out. He couldn't leave the Heavenly Note sect without a good reason. Speaking of which, the Great Thousand God sect has been looking for a lantern-carrying disciple. They know where he is, so they should be visiting the Heavenly Note sect soon, Lu said. Are they going to pick a fight? Gui asked. She remembered something. I heard that the Heavenly Note sect has been selecting disciples to be the top disciples. If the Great Thousand God sect were to pick a fight, could they really win against the top disciples? The sects that have visited the Great Thousand God sect have ended up badly. Besides, if it isn't the Great Thousand God sect, it'll be the end of all things. Who do you think will do it? Everyone was speechless. Jiang Hao had a strange feeling about this. Many sects had visited the Heavenly Note sect in these few years. He felt that things would not go smoothly for the Great Thousand God sect. He remembered that the Heavenly Note sect had cooperated with the Heavenly Saints sect to deal with the Great Thousand God sect before. He did not know what would happen. However, the lantern bearer was indeed very important to the Great Thousand God sect. He had to pay him a visit when he was free. He hoped that he could learn more before the other party left. The 12 Heavenly Kings have started the process to become immortals, Lu said. It's just that Hai Luo hasn't returned yet. I wonder what they're planning. I heard that it's basically impossible for them to become immortals, Gui said with a smile. What do you need? Lu looked at Gui. I need the fourth heaven-bestowed cultivation technique of the heavenly spirit tribe, Gui said. Unless you can make them become immortals, it's not enough, Lu said with a smile. That was the reason why he could not become an immortal. I thought so. Gui nodded. Then, she said, I want a Dharma treasure that is compatible with the heavenly spirit tribe. I'll give you something in exchange depending on the result, Gui said. After that, they began to trade. Jiang Hao knew what Gui was going to say. After all, she had communicated with people like Gu Chongsheng and Senior Kendo. After that, Jiang Hao heard about Qi Tian. He heard that the fallen immortal clan had already appeared overseas. It seemed like he was looking for something. After the party ended, Jiang Hao sat on the balcony and sighed. He felt that there were a lot of things going on lately. He had been busy the entire time and had not paid attention to the people around her. Looking down at the spirit beast drooling, Jiang Hao suddenly felt a little emotional. His gaze was erratic. He was too concerned about what was happening outside. It was easy to forget one's heart and neglect the things around. His emotions kept changing. As his cultivation increased, the things he faced became bigger and more dangerous. He always ran into problems that were way beyond his league. It was easy to feel arrogant. That way, he would slowly lose himself. If not for Hong Yuye, he might have already lost his way. Increasingly, he felt that he was losing himself. He had advanced too quickly. It was the easiest to get smug and make a mistake. Jiang Hao couldn't help but laugh at himself. I wonder if the one with the Heavenly Tao Foundation establishment has a similar problem. If not, I'm worse off than a little girl. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.